Hello and welcome back to the only show that breaks down, cracks up, skews, and reviews each week's DC Comics. I'm your dream date, Eric Shea.
And I'm Jim Warner.
And this is the Weird Science DC Comics Podcast, episode number 497. Summerween Night Terror Spooktacular.
Spooktacular. What is this, week 5, week 6? I don't even know anymore. I think it's week 6.
Here
with
sense.
The Summerween Night Terrors. We're going to find out. The big book, Night Terrors number 3, is pretty much going to tell us that every other book means shit. And we'll all have fun with it. We'll get to that in a little bit. But hey, all you weirdos, welcome to the Summerween Spooktacular. And if you want to read written reviews of these books that we talk about, most of them, you can go to our website, WeirdScienceDCComics.com. You can also check out videos over on our YouTube channel at Weird Science Comics, and then do other things, like go to our Patreon, patreon.com/Weird Science. Help us out for getting through the dregs that is Summerween and this Night Terrors bullshit, but also get a ton of other shows as well. And there have been some other books that have come out that aren't Night Terrors, the non-spooky books. And those have been picked by the badasses, at least to have some of them featured on our weekly spotlight each Thursday night. Me and Eric get together and do our DC Comics Badass Spotlight show with 2 books picked by the badasses of the Get Fresh crew. And this week they picked World's Finest Teen Titans number 2 and Superman Annual 2023 number 1, Eric. And we ended up talking about those for about an hour and a half. So if you want to hear us talk that stuff, you go over to the Patreon, but also we had our TGIF, Thank God It's Friday show. That was obviously on Friday, and we talked about Batman Incorporated number 11 and Spirit World number 4, both coming to an end, one naturally and one maybe unnaturally. I don't know if it's natural or unnatural, but Batman Incorporated, it looks like it is canceled. Thank God Spirit World just ends at 6, and that is pretty much the sentiment for most of the people that I've talked to about it as well.
Thankfully, too, throughout the spooky season, we've had our Night Terror books, and if anything that's not, Night Terror related, pretty much been 4 books at most. So, we have our 2 issues for the Spotlight, and then we have 2 issues for the Thank God It's Friday, and everything is locked and loaded for the Night Terrors for the main show. Hopefully that continues for the next 2 weeks till we finish out Night Terrors.
Yeah, we will see. And then just to throw it out there, the last week of this month is an Annuals week. We have 5 months, and that is going to have
5
the
weeks.
Night's End. Oh, the Night's End that they keep on throwing out there for everybody at the end of these tie-ins. It's like, hey, none of this mattered, but check out that Night's End, right?
But it's always darkest before the dawn.
It is, and the Dawn of DC is coming back on Sunday. You'll hear that in a song a little later, Eric. But we're going to end up, why I bring that up, is when we have an Annuals week at DC, we always have the show as Patreon only. So that is a big week. We end up having that Night's End that officially ends the spooktacular Summerween Night Terrors. But I do believe it also kicks off the Gotham War, where I'm already started working on that song for you, Eric, for the Gotham War that you kept yelling for. But we'll be talking about that.
I don't even remember what it was anymore. Oh, now I do.
Same as we had
now
before,
I remember.
Yeah. So with all that, what I'm saying is if you want to check out that show at the end of the month and get a lot of extra stuff involved as well, go over to the Patreon, patreon.com/Weird Science. Pick a level that is best for you. There is a 7-day free trial for the $5 level, which gets a ton of stuff. Plus, you can help us out. If you help us out, give us a hand. But here we are. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I'm so tired. I ended up going through these books, and I'm like, are these spooky or are they just terrible? I couldn't figure it out. We're going to have to figure that out ourselves. And the funny thing is, before I get into the Badass Roll Call, the idea that the spooky books were left for it's not really true, because the Teen Titans, the World's Finest Teen Titans, a little bit of a spooktacular thing out of nowhere there as well.
They told me it was a haunted house, so they lied to me.
Yeah, has it haunted you since? You were a little upset about it. You were a little upset about continuity and all that stuff. But we already talked about it. The Badasses, the Get Fresh crew, that's who picked those 2 books, and we're going to give them a bit of a shout out. Badass roll call here, Eric. We have Stephen Bat-Dad Mitchell, Trevor, Dad Nation, Eric K, Jeffrey Greek. I'm making myself laugh now. The War on Night Terror is in the house, Eric. It's a war. It's like a war of attrition. From The Annihilator, Ted Probst, I Love Punchline, Stork, Michael S. Cam, Matt Razor, D-Man 3000, Niels T-Word, David Fink, Stephen Baum, Jason Colby, Sue 42 to you and me, Michael G, Ken Halleck, Comic Boom Rooker, Tommy Dreamer. Oh my God, he was one of my favorites, Eric. It's my Tommy Nightmare. Mark Jager, Bill Beer of the Bat Pod, Ruben, Carlos, No Wolf Marv, Matthew Ray Pierre, Luke Hollywood, Simon, Luis, Monsieur, and John Belfast, Swanee, Anthony G, Joshua Million, Batman Beyond, Marketer, and B. Muir, Brandy Murray in Buffalo, and Double A Run. Doxing his ass in Minnesota. I'm giving myself a headache like I'm giving everybody else. I have these earphones, and I forget that I put them in like the, the silence mode? Is that what they call it?
Noise
you end up
canceling?
having noise canceling deal. And when I do that, I really can't hear anything, so I start screaming.
You know your normal like tone. You don't have to start screaming.
But
just
I don't,
you can't
because
hear yourself.
I can't hear myself over the deal, and then it just messes me up. You just don't know how it is. Double A Ron, I
have noise
him,
cancel,
but also Rob Lure, and Reggie up there in Buffalo. I did have a song.
Reggie up there in Buffalo.
I mean, Reggie up there in heaven. Isn't Buffalo heaven to everyone? I told you, I'm tired. I'm telling you, I can't even keep my eyes open. I may just kind of like fake the funk all show. I'll just say, man, that night chair is pretty cool, right? That'll get me through the day. But yeah, what was I going to say? I did have a song I was going to put it in. I was going to say, hey, you want to see what I did this week? And I have a song about me getting diarrhea. But I figured I might save that for later. So that's a little bit
later
of
means never, right?
Snippet. Like people could end up hoping that they hear the song about me eating chicken wings and getting diarrhea. But I don't know. I don't think that's going to be it. We're going to streamline this bitch, as I say. It's Night Terrors. Most people don't want to be involved in the Summerween, Eric. The Summerween, it's like one of those things that at the beginning, no, anybody I talk to, I have not found one. Well, no, I'm wrong. One person on YouTube.
I'm happy to be involved in Night Terrors because it's changing things up a little bit, and I'll be happy to get back to the Dawn of DC once it's over.
To be nothing.
Yeah.
And that Dawn of DC, I was told by 3 people, and it's only 3 people, but told by 3 people, they're done. They were into the Dawn of DC. This was this morning. Because I was asking people, hey, anybody here like started in a Dawn of DC and then this Night Terror? And they're like 3 people said, yeah, I'm not going to get involved. This is bullshit. And they forgot even what they were even reading before. So I'm worried. I'm worried when we get back. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well, because we're actually going to, I don't know, these people were just there for like 2 issues. They're not like they're lifelong fans. They jumped in for some of the Night Terrors thing. Well, that was the fun of it. There was more people getting involved. Now it doesn't seem it. The only problem I have, or the worry really, first off, it is something. If you end up making people stop doing it, they get involved with other things. But when we get back to the Dawn of DC, we keep pumping it. Oh my God, Dawn of DC, yeah, we'll get back to the books that we kind of did enjoy, but we're getting a lot of other books, and I don't see many that me and you are really looking forward to.
Fire and Ice, the sleeper hit.
Fire and Ice, Power Girl.
Yeah.
We end up having, Tom King on Wonder Woman, which will have some hype, but we're not really looking forward to. Cy Spurrier on Flash. Some people are going to jump back and like, this is what you want to get back to, but hopefully all of it's good. Hopefully all of it's good. I actually wish that what they did, and I was telling these people who said they were bailed, maybe they should have just waited for Dawn of DC to start in September after the Night Terrors and then hit all the books at once. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll talk about the books tonight. Some of them lead in to the books back at their regular deal of Dawn of DC. Not many, but some. I could be hopeful for that. But we're going to go off. We're going to hit the books right now. We're going to start with 3, including the big book, Eric, the Night Terrors number 3. It's a numbered issue that, like I said, I think it really tells you everything that you thought mattered. It really doesn't, but we kind of knew that already. But we'll get into that in just a moment.
Well, you ruined Black Hole Sun for me, that's for sure, because every time that song's going to come on, I'm going to sing it's Insomnia.
Yeah, well, that's what you get. That's what you get for saying we skew and review, Eric. And yeah, The Darkest Before the Dawn. Here we are. A little Night Terrors going there. And in that, it might have picked me up a little. I almost ended up punching my mic. I was playing some air drums like an asshole as I was going there. But here we are. We're here for the Night Terrors. And we do have what we thought were going to be some of the really good books. I mean, here's the deal. Up until this point, at least I have been really harping on the idea that it doesn't seem like the tie-ins mean anything. And you've said as well, but you have been more...
With every event like this,
Yeah, but it's the thing, though, that these were only here as a way to kind of say they did matter. You know what I mean? It's a weird play.
Look, I figure this played in better than what we had in other things, but since we've been doing this with things like Future's End and Future State, all the times that come with those events, they don't mean anything in the long run. So I expect the same thing here. At least they said, hey, this is kind of doing something along the lines of it.
I actually thought it was worse because the other things, while these are just, hey, let's look in and see what these nightmares are. And because of the idea of having nightmares, nothing was really congruent because you wouldn't have nightmares being the same. So I get that.
Unless you had characters that jump into other people's nightmares for whatever reason we do.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, the rules are all over the place. But to me, when they ended up saying, like, we thought, okay, well, and some people are even saying still, maybe this Night Terror should have just been 4, 5, 6 issue miniseries by itself, not tying into too much, maybe a book or two. But the idea that they said, oh, no, we have to have these tie-ins because Insomnia is going to be looking and possibly they seem to play. He's going to find the Nightmare Stone, and one of these almost setting up a mystery, but a mystery that nobody could ever play along with. That's not how Agatha Christie did it. I said this on my video review, Eric. He ended up setting up a mystery that couldn't be solved, and we should be used to that. That's something that DC really, really likes to do and has been doing for quite some time. It's just the idea that when we get into Night Terrors number 3, which we'll start with, obviously, they're pretty much going to tell you before the event ends even, hey, by the way, the tie-ins are bullshit. You don't even have to read them because we kind of pulled the rug from you.
You already did read them, so it doesn't matter. But you know what? They're still there because, like Insomnia, you have to go on the journey of trying to find the Nightmare Stone within these nightmares. But you know what? Not every journey has a great conclusion.
Well, and most journeys don't get concluded before the end of the journey. I mean, this actually ends the journey of searching through any sort of tie-ins for the night. It's just revealed. They're not anywhere, and we're going to see it in this Night Terrors book. I thought that was a weird play.
Damn,
maybe have it at the end of issue 4, just so the 3 people thought maybe they're involved. But again, like you said, I'm not going to call a bonus of, well, I already bought and read the first issue, so I'll go with this. But
man, what a nightmare this was. I can't wait to see the next part.
Because somebody ended up tweeting and asking us, oh, have you guys read any of the Night Terrors? I'm like, yeah, we read a couple. And then they said, oh, I really like the Green Lantern and the Zatanna. And I'm not going to fake the funk. I said, wasn't that Zatanna? It made me look like a damn fool. That's what it did. But even so,
fault.
I still think my favorite one is Angel Breaker.
Angel Breaker, yeah.
It's so crazy, only because it ended up doing something on its own besides trying to pretend that it's really going to try to do
Even though we have the rug pulled out from under us with this Night Terrors issue 3 with the reveal of where the Nightmare Stone actually is and the rest of the tie-ins don't actually matter, Angel Breaker being outside of that whole thing, that issue number 2 will still matter.
Well, I'm looking forward to Angel Breaker 2. I've never thought I'd ever say that, but I am looking forward to that. But just imagine going into this and into this week and even last week. I mean, you had thought Ravager, most important book. Maybe not.
Still going with it.
The weirdest play, and it's actually going to be at the end of the podcast, but just to bring it up, the idea that me and you were kind of discussing, you were arguing with me, I think there's some precog stuff with the Mary Marvel. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. And then all of a sudden, that seemed to be completely forgotten. I don't even know what happened there.
I was really hoping when I got into Night Terror Shazam this week, I'm like, all right, we're going to have all of this problems that we had last time with issue number 1, all our disputes resolved with this. But I have no idea because I didn't go back to read issue number 1. It just feels like it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. But it doesn't matter. I guess it was fun to see some things. Again, I'm trying desperately to be positive for some of these things. It's tough, but we'll start with Night Terrors number 3. Doesn't matter. Written by Joshua Williamson with art by Giuseppe Camuncoli, Stefano Nessi, Casper Wingard, Frank Martin, and Troy Petiri. So we're going to end up in this where we're going to find the Nightmare Stone by the end.
Sure.
Who has it, Eric? Who has it?
The House of Horror?
Goodness gracious. Well, we'll have to see how this plays out and why out of nowhere you just throw in ideas. And I've said throughout this whole main book, Joshua Williamson has really thrown things out to just, he has no idea how to progress the story. So he ends up just throwing things out there. It does that again here, but this ends up feeling in my mind of like what he usually does. Just, hey, I'm just going to introduce this new thing now, and I'm going to say this new thing. And it's something that you never could have guessed at, never could have known before. And it's said in just such a, I don't know, not a whimsical way, but almost like, oh, what about this? And then it becomes the thing. It's
not even the idea of the whimsical way it's just brought up. Oh my God, that has to be the idea. Hey, we have the exact way to get there immediately. Thank God we have that. Let's get there. And like, what is the price of getting the Nightmare Stone? When we get to the price of the Nightmare Stone, that's even more infuriating because what does that even mean?
It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't make sense. And we'll get to that and I'll tell you what I think happened. But we even start out again, and we have these intros. We've had, hey, there's Dead Man, there's Johnny Carson. There's Dead Man doing this. Now it's Hamlet, and he comes out. Now, at this point in issue 3, you would think you have a grip on, oh, I see what he's doing. He's saying this means this, and Dead Man's caught up in this. These don't mean shit. Unless somebody can glean anything, because here he is, and he's even going against, and I don't think Joshua Williamson knows the character Dead Man. He proves it in this issue again and seems to be going from what may be the Wonder Woman and the, what's it called? The Clunrads did. I think that, and we said this is where we actually said, we're always afraid because when somebody messes up a character, say even a Leah Williams on Power Girl, well, now the next person will only read that and then it perpetuates itself and you never get back to what is the real character. And I don't know what they think Dead Man is. And what Joshua Williamson, I think, actually went with is, okay, not many people know the character, but instead of using that as a way to introduce and maybe get people in, he's just fudging.
Let's use him to fudge it.
Yeah, he's a fudge.
He's a fudge.
Right? He's the fudge. He is. It's super fudge. But he ends up, hey, I used to be approached to be in the movies. Yeah, really? Really acrobat.
Just the idea. It's like they wanted me in the movies, but you know what? I couldn't interact with the audience, and that wasn't for me. I was more about the stage and stuff like that. I'm like, you were a goddamn acrobat in a mask. Nobody asked you to be in movies or do stage plays. Get out of here, Boston Brand.
Yeah, exactly. And then even at the end, because kind of the bookend thing will be Dead Man revealing a big, what I think Joshua Williamson must think is this big epiphany for everyone, and it really falls flat. But it doesn't even tie into that. But then he's like, yeah, I like the theater. I like to get the reaction, but I forgot my lines. Get the fuck out of here. I'm sitting there. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then we go, boom.
It doesn't matter. We're back into Night Terrors proper when we have Sandman fighting the Sleepless Knights as we try to figure out where the Nightmare Stone is. Essentially, you have Boston Brand Dead Man in Batman's body with the zombified Wesley Dodds Sandman. And then Damian Wayne Robin shows up and says, get out of my father. And this becomes this weird situation. Not as sexy as you want it to be for whatever reason, but you just have this situation where you and I thought it could be a fun situation where, like, Boston Brand is possessing Batman and Damian Wayne isn't the wiser, like, immediately, but he's a smart guy, so you catch on pretty quick. But just have some kind of funny banter. It doesn't get there, but for whatever reason, we use Boston Brand in Batman's body as a way for Damian to start having little heart-to-hearts while that world is ending around him. Like, it's easy being the Batman of to Boston Brand. I don't know. It's like, it's easy to be the Batman of Robins, but it's kind of hard to be the father and son. We have these moments in this book at least twice, and they just feel really out of nowhere. Like, I have loved everything that Joshua Williamson has done to try to perpetuate Robin as being a better character than people perceived him previously. But for some reason, it's like, okay, I'm going to do some more Robin work here. But it's just these like kind of out of nowhere little sad bastard moments, and I don't know why.
It's because he has the Batman and Robin book coming out in September. That's it. That's what it is. He has a Batman and Robin book coming out, and so that's
it's just so out of place.
It doesn't set up anything. It doesn't even say. I mean, if you're going to say that, put, hey, see my new book in September, Batman and Robin. It is out of place, and even when you have that, like you said, I would have really liked to see Dead Man thinking, oh my God, here's Damian. He says, I kind of met Damian before. I know what he's about. And, he's a little rapscallion, that kid.
Yeah.
And the idea that he might say to himself, I need to keep being in Batman's body. But Damian's not going to allow that. Damian is going to fight me over this, and we don't have time. I can't. So you have him, and you just set up the idea that the lines and being in, you could have played that into this where you at least have something where Dead Man's like, hey there, sonny boy. And actually, with the idea that you said, Damian says, it's pretty tough being the son of the... You could have played that out through Damian realizing, wait a second, you're not my dad. You're acting too nice to me. You're actually paying more attention to me and this or whatever it would be. You set it up, but you didn't do it. Right away, Dead Man says, he'd like you. He'd be proud of you there, Damian.
A softer touch on Damian, because I just don't want him to be, seen as a jerk every time he shows up to a book. Because for the longest time, pretty much since he was created, that's what you had, and that's why people didn't like the character. He's got the softer touch he has now, but he has not lost that hard edge when he needs it. Like, he's just been able to open up. But when, like, get out of my father, and Boston Brand gets out, it's like, Boston, I should have known. You can see me? I have too much experience with death. I'm like, who the fuck are you?
and again, who's this character? Because Dead Man, that's not you are ruining the character. The only reason that he ends up possessing people is so that he can be, heard. Not seen, but heard and go through things. And you're doing it again. And so
and
with
the weird
Damien,
thing is, I can make weird things where, like, things that he was taught when he was a part of the League of Assassins as a child through mystical tablets, whatever, magical learnings, that he can be able to see Dead Man through whatever. Like, that will work for me. Just I've been experienced way too much death.
I've experienced death along with every single person in the DCU. Most everybody has died, come back, and things like that.
No, I'm thinking more that he murders a lot of people.
No, I think he says that he was actually dead. And he came back, and that's why he's kind of connected to the afterlife, is what he's saying. It doesn't make any sense. It's really bad. But again, you could have even went the other way, where I said that you'd have Dead Man, oh my God, I got to pretend and whatever. You could have even had where we thought, man, Damien's a dummy. How can he? And then at the end, he does reveal in that cool way of like, all right, let's get going, Dead Man. What? You knew it was me all along, and you could have had some fun, and not even just fun.
Boston.
You could have had some moments with it. But instead, it's just like everything is surface level. It's forced. Everything seems to be set up to, make it so that he doesn't get called out on things. Again, how can...
Damien's just a sad sack.
And here, I'm going to ask you, too. He ends up saying this deal, and it really seemed like Joshua Williamson wanted to push this. I have too much experience with death. I said he should kick a can and walk down Charlie Brown down the hallway, because what happens here?
Good grief.
Why did Dead Man need to come out of Batman's body at this point? Yeah, Damien says get out, right? But he goes right back in it. He ends up going back in it. So it's odd. It's very odd. Well, it doesn't make sense. You talk about the oddness
of everything, because even by the end, I have no idea what's up with Boston Brand. Like, when we come back out with the Nightmare Stone, like, what happened to Boston? Even the idea where we had in the Batman Night Terrors #2, where Batman, like, oh, Boston's out of my body anymore. I can go towards the light. And he comes to what seems like the end of this, but it doesn't really seem like it fits properly with what happened in Batman to this.
Well, I don't think that Batman's out yet. I think Batman's still in. When we get to the end, I'm thinking that it's either Insomnia in there or Dead Man's in there with some wacky ideas.
And again, the thing is, I have no idea, because we know nothing about the Nightmare Stone, any of the Sleepless Nights, how any of the rules work, how any of the powers work, anything.
You don't. And then even when you have this, and I will mention that at this point then, when you end up having, they escape. They end up getting out of there. They get in the Batplane and they head off to Gotham. And we don't have any real way to progress the story. So when this happens, usually Dead Man says, I think I'm going to go and look into the Insomnia Nightmares.
Classic
Wesley goes, I don't think we should do that. They found us the last time. And he goes, they're already on our tail, but are they? I can't even. They flew off in a bat plane.
They're sleepless monsters. It's fine.
They go into the nightmares here, but it's
Insomnia's
more of just an origin, deal. It's not really giving us anything. And really the most important thing to progress the story is actually that first stupid panel that ends up pretty much saying, hey, those tie-ins? Pretty cool. You saw that Insomnia. He was looking for that Nightmare Stone, wasn't he? And then we just go to Origin, because after you pull out of this, and we'll talk about the stuff that happens, but when you pull out, the only thing Dead Man says, and really to progress the story, Dead Man says, ooh, he's frustrated. He ain't finding shit. And that's from that first panel. But then we go to the survivors meeting. I'd be there, free coffee, Eric. So you're there. And again, I said last week that it seemed to be pushing towards, and you even said it before, we think that Insomnia's family was killed during one of the crises.
Yeah,
the Justice League didn't save them. That seems like that's
and then
solid.
The Justice League died, but they were able to come back, and he's frustrated about that as well, because this even seems before he was institutionalized. Like the part where he becomes institutionalized, where he has
at the end of this here. I think. I mean, when you start cutting people, right?
His family has died. He's going to survivor meetings, talking about the idea of the Justice League, and people are like, hey, eventually you're going to have to forgive them. He's like, you know what? Smash coffee on your face, stab you in the neck. I don't got to forgive shit. So at this point, I'm thinking Insomnia. His ass went to Arkham Tower because he had to cut his eyelids off, because every time he closed his eyes and went to sleep, all he would see is the Justice League and his family being killed. And as we saw previously in, I think, the first issue, he sees the Justice League as these terrible nightmare creatures. Yeah. So he's got a big heart-on against the JL team, and he needs to take them down and maybe get his family back.
And the idea, and I I think his family's dead. I don't think.
No, I think so
back,
too.
But we'll see.
But do you go from a night? Do you use the Nightmare Stone to get to a beautiful dream?
But, well, that would be what you would think a regular person would do. But the way this says and what he says here, and I said last week that it seemed like Insomnia will not be happy because I said, what is the end game here? Because usually in a crowd, okay, they're going to take over. He's not really I'm going to take over the world universe. He really just wants to show everybody that the Justice League is bullshit. He wants to, and he says,
I'm not going to sleep again until they pay.
And he says, you will all know what I know. All I want is for everyone to have their eyes open to the truth. I guess I need to leave the example and cuts his eyelids. But then he says, I'll never sleep again, not until the Justice League pay. I wouldn't go any further and says, hey, Deadman, I see you. But I told you before, every time we have, and one of the issues in this week's books, I think shows definitely what I said might be the case, where he keeps going in these tie-ins. Every time you see at the end, it's like a nightmare version of the character. This continues in Night's End. I think he's just going to get that Nightmare Stone, and he's going to make these nightmare versions that these characters have thought up themselves, gun, bat, all that, and make them real and say, look, everybody, that's the scary. It's just going to be like, the Dark Multiverse stuff.
Are they going to throw like rocks and cans at him?
They may. I don't know. But in that, I just think that's all it is. I think that Insomnia just wants people to think of the Justice League as horrific. Like
I just imagine he'll do all this stuff. Like, let's just say you're right. He comes out, he has all these nightmare versions of the Justice League. People are like, see what they really are. People are like, it's just going to be like, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, where everybody got like in New York gets to Spider-Man's aid, they start chucking rocks. I'm like, you ain't going to put us against the Justice League. They're here to help us.
I'd love it where, you have Insomnia.
No,
oh my God, look at this gun bat. That's the Batman. I'm like, what the hell you say? That ain't no Batman. That's a monstrosity. I don't know how it's going to go. Or he'll want this monstrosity team to kill I don't know.
Look at this werewolf Mr. Hyde Flash, everybody, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Like even that, like out of the blue and nonsense.
I don't know what that is.
He ends up where he then
Speed
says,
Force.
Hey there, dead man. I see you going through my memories. Oh my goodness. He pulls out. So all that you're thinking, okay, what did he learn? We learned some background, but that's not going to help Deadman in the here and now where they're trying to figure things out. And again, what it probably ends up doing is making Deadman feel bad for Insomnia for some reason. But he says, I got it now. Insomnia is growing frustrated. He can't find the Nightmare Stone. It's not in the nightmares. And then he continues, but John D. told him it wasn't here either. It's not in the land of the living. Yet Insomnia said that twice in these books, said it could be in the waking world. That's why he has. I mean, you ended up having those sleepless nights show up and attack Wesley Dodds and Deadman and say, show us where the Nightmare Stone is. And they're
he's hedging his bets.
Just nothing. Well, then when you have that, Damian, out of nowhere, you know what? What if it's in between waking and dreaming? And I'm like, you mean half a sleep land? That's all that is.
Then it must be someplace in between waking and dreaming. What do you think, Wesley Dodds? If that's the case, I might be of some help. Guess what? Decades ago, I devised a way to create a gas to put you right in that, hollow space. And you know what? Since we're here at Wayne Tech, I can go and craft that shit up immediately. I'm a chemist. Shit? And you know what? I'm going to hit you with this stuff, and you're going to go to that hollow place where Batman's going to have a Deadman's, like amalgam suit on, which kind of looks kind of cool for what it is. Him and Damian are going to go to the place in between sleeping and awakening world. And then we're going to see some weird, dreamy shit until we come across the House of Horrors. And inside there, we're going to have to give our sacrifice to get the Nightmare Stone, like Wesley Dodds talked about with that cult from decades ago that was going to sacrifice themselves to bring the Nightmare Stone. And all of that seemed fine with the idea of like, okay, you have to have all this sacrifice in order to get the Nightmare Stone. But he put everybody to sleep beforehand, so they weren't able to get it and never manifested into the real world. But here we are in the in-between world, the Hollow.
The Hollow.
And in this world, we see that Deadman, he didn't actually die in the air when the bullet hit him. Like he likes to tell everybody, he actually hit the ground and he was laying there bleeding. And for some reason, this Deadman-Batman amalgam in this in-between world, it's like, I know what I have to do. Wesley Dodds told me about the sacrifice. So here I am dying in this make-believe circus tent. I'm going to rip this dead man's guts out, pull out the Nightmare Stone, and that's going to be the sacrifice. And I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. Did you kill dead man of the mind, a memory? Did you sacrifice a memory?
It's like you're sacrificing just another dream or nightmare. It is like a memory and doing it. But again, all I think is that you go in, and also just to point out, they go in, they walk over a couple sand dunes, it looks like. You end up having that discussion. You said, hey there, Damon. Pretty cool being Batman's son, right? Well, it is being Batman and Robin, but as son and father, it's a little tough. You know what it is. No, I don't. I never had a family. Must be a bad life.
Poor Cleveland.
And then all of a sudden, they're like, hey, here's a shack, House of Horror, and also keep saying, oh, I think the Nightmare Stone's calling us, while you have Insomnia trying to peek in. I mean, everything is, there's no sort of anything. You just end up walking down the road, boom, House of Horror, go in, oh my God, what's that body? Oh, don't you get that? That's my lie. I'm like, really? Because all you're doing is forcing this because of the idea that now you're in this in-between. We don't know the rules anyway, but you can't sacrifice Damien. You're not going to sacrifice dead men just yet. So they make it. Joshua Williamson makes up something. He's already made up this hollow and then goes even further by making up bullshit that there's a not dead man, still dead man, but it's what? And then you end up sacrificing it, not even telling us what really a sacrifice that is.
On top of all that, which I don't understand, when we have, Damien and Deadman walking into this circus tent of the mind, I can feel the Nightmare Stone. Its power. It wants to be found. And then he says, this is why I could feel Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman were haunted. The Nightmare Stone wants me to find it. I'm like, the fuck does Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman have to do with anything? And then being haunted for this freaking in between the waking world and dreaming world where you could have
nothing.
To be found.
It just end up, maybe he heard us bitching because I said, why would he say, haunting Superman while he flew over the graveyard in that First Blood? Oh, I better follow him. Nonsense. Why isn't anybody going to get the Dreamstone? I keep asking about it too. Something has to be done with that. But you end up here, they sacrifice maybe a memory.
Or Dead Man's lies.
Or Dead Man's dead.
And that's the thing. That's what I want to talk about. The idea. Because we have Dead Man in Batman's body in this in-between world. He goes and rips this, what he calls his lies apart to get the Nightmare Stone out. And they're thrust out of this in-between world back to the waking world where Batman has the Nightmare Stone in his hand. And I can't tell if this is like Batman with Dead Man inside him, just Batman, because we know Batman does wake up at this, around this point in time, like in Batman Night Terrors #2. But at this point in time, we have Batman seemingly to be possessed by the Nightmare Stone, but I also don't know if it's Boston Brand or if we actually killed Boston Brand in the world in between.
And maybe it's Insomnia that jumped. I'm telling you, the idea is not matching up. When you ended up having, oh my God, is this real or not? Oh, it's real, but we lost. That's what Damien says to him, and that's not this scene. No. So something's going on. You can only imagine, and the timing's off because of that. Though in this issue, we do then see why Wesley Dodds was in Wayne Tower, and we do get that little thing. But at this point, it's not
fighting
the
off the
same.
sleepless nights as Damien and Deadman try to figure
Batman
out how to get the Nightmare Stone.
Batman did not wake up with the Nightmare Stone. They were at a different spot. So in this, you end up having, and it's ambiguous, but it's certainly not, in my mind, Batman, especially when you have this purple deal. And we have the Nightmare Stone.
Purple skull eyes.
Yeah, and I even like that. We have the Nightmare Stone. We can use it to stop Insomnia. Now, I just want to stop and say, okay, that seems like, okay, you could go with it. But that doesn't make any sense either because we don't even know what the fuck it is. And how would it stop him when it's the thing that he needed? Like, to me, you destroy it right now and then it's over. He can't do anything. But the idea where you have it, you want to make it seem like it makes sense. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But it really doesn't because he's searching for this. We don't know what it is. But then when you have of the mind in the eyes, nightmares, and then my dreams will come true. And he's smiling.
Yeah, I'm telling you. It's a good possibility Batman somehow is possessed by Insomnia and all that stuff about stopping Insomnia. That's all bullshit because he has the Nightmare Stone now. But who knows at this point in time who's inside Batman? How anything works.
Everybody's in Batman. And I want to point out, too, there was a thing where at the beginning, they do talk to Damien. Hey, how did you stay awake? Now, we saw that he went to study, and that's not really pushed as much as it should be because he instead says, I use the art of staying awake. You know that, Eric. I utilized every single meditation technique I'd ever learned. Well, you're already doing too much because certainly Batman would know a lot of that as well, and Batman couldn't. Now, they played the idea that he kind of couldn't then because of Deadman, but he still fell asleep. But then he says the whole world has only been asleep for a few hours, but for me, it feels like it's been. And that gets a little wonky as we go along, too, where some people start to mention different things. So everything is just willy-nilly. But really, my biggest problem with this is that it really does show you before the end of the event that you never needed the tie-ins, and maybe some people feel duped, but it just continues to be, I'm just going to, you said it before, and we said it a lot about Joshua Williamson's writing a lot of times. We said it with Dark Crisis especially, was, well, if you're going to fight me with the Doomsday, I'm going to fight you with that. And it just ends up adding things, almost like kids in the backyard. And this almost feels like, well, you can't stop me now. Oh, well, you didn't know about the Hollow. What? And then you're doing that. Everything's just thrown out with no explanation. And then at the end, you get to Nightmare Stone. We'll see what's happening. Very odd. The art to me was okay. It got wonky at points. There were points where it got wonky. A lot of people actually thought that Insomnia was cutting all the other people's eyes out because of the way that played out. But when Damien first shows up, I can't even tell you what he's doing with those nightmare sleepless nights. It was hard to tell what exactly. He's just
kicking ass and taking names. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm like, I don't know what's happening there. And then all of a sudden they just get up on the bat plane. But at the end, it was a disappointment for me. What would you give it?
Well, the thing is, I enjoyed the art in this issue, but it is a big disappointment overall because the rules are just being made up here at the 11th hour of the story, and it's just very disappointing for how it's so exciting. I'm telling you, I can't make head nor tails of what's actually going on because I never knew how things were supposed to work to begin with, and now new rules are being made up, so it doesn't really matter. So 5.3 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm a 4, and I didn't like the art as much as you did. Some of the things seem cool, but like you said, I'm not saying that he really wanted it to be a full-out mystery. Weird. Yeah, but the weird play is, you have a story here. It's an event. You want people to play along, and you end up saying, listen, this Nightmare Stone could be an A, B, or C. We get to this issue. Oh, fuck you, it's in D. That's what it ended up being. And then everything just pushed towards, and we don't even know exactly what happened at the end. With Deadman, it was a little bit odd and wondering how that's playing out. I guess we have to wait for
Night Terrors 4.
Yeah, Night Terrors number 4, and then Night's End. Can Night's End be anything but just a big giant battle where, you want to say, ooh, Zatanna and Cliff will be in there, and there'll be one page they're punching somebody, stuff like that. It's very odd.
I'm still waiting for Aquaman to show up.
Yeah, he said, swap the
land lubbers.
Me mateys, arr! We'll see. We'll see how that goes. I think that'll be next week. But what are we doing next?
Night Terrors, The Flash, number 2, written by Alex Paknadel, with art by Daniel Bayliss, Tom Derenick, Igor Monti, Pete Pantazis, and Simon Boland. In this issue, we pick up where we left off in the last Night Terrors Flash issue, where Flash is desperately trying to go back in time in his nightmare because Wally West, the Kid Flash, was killed by Gorilla Grodd using the Spear of Destiny. And before Wally was going to die, he said there was something inside the lightning, something in the Speed Force that was preventing me from moving as fast as I want to, and that's why I got killed. I'm about to die now. And Barry's trying to figure out how to do this. He's going to go back in time, even though he's not supposed to, and try to prevent Wally's death. But every time he goes back, he can see this thing in the lightning and the Speed Force that's preventing him from moving fast enough to save the day. And in this, we see him doing it over and over and over again, going back and forth throughout time, trying to save Wally West. And for some reason, there's friction in the Speed Force now because of that thing, resistance. And my body had to compensate, which made Flash into, like I said previously, some kind of Dr. Hyde werewolf monster thing where he's just this complete monstrosity.
At first he was like a hunchback and it was scaring me. Then he morphs into it's very odd, right?
I'm telling you, he looks like he's taken some really bad blockbuster serum at some point and he's just going to keep doing this. But the thing I liked about the first issue, because Barry, more than anything, is going to try to save Wally. That's the basis of his nightmare. But things like just jump in there that don't make sense, but Barry goes with it because it is a dream like anybody else would do in a kind of dream where weird shit just shows up and you go with it and you move on to the next part of the dream. And even the point where, after all of these different attempts, he comes back to see Wally once again, and then his mother shows up and they're like, hey, Ma, what are you doing here? That's weird. But she just pretty much, comes in, does her thing, and then leaves. And the idea is like, you have to go keep doing this, Barry. You have to run. You have to. It just seems like the idea of Insomnia being in control of the nightmare, being his mother, and wanting him to continue doing what he's doing to keep the dream going longer. So maybe Insomnia could search Barry's mind for the Nightmare Stone.
Yeah, again, I think that by the end you get but it's weird. I think that this one might play out actually what I was saying earlier, the idea where Insomnia is trying to create these monsters because it's his mom, who I would have right away. I mean, if I'm Barry, I'm like, listen, I know, Mom, that you're not alive, but that's not throwing me off. It's that you say you brought me fried chicken and you have a goddamn big burger, big belly burger deal. You said fried chicken, lady, but she seems like,
They do it all.
You got to get back to it. You got to get in. At one point, he looked like one of those big battle droids in the prequels. Like, he's so, like, over the top at the time. Like, he's weirding me out.
I'm telling you, to me, he looks like a hairless werewolf.
Yeah, it's not good to look at. And then even as he's going, you get some okay moments. And this is where this is going to be a weird show for what I say about some things. Because this book, I'll give Alex Peckinpah some credit here. He's trying to do something. He's trying to use this, hey, you just do the nightmares. He's trying to do some sort of intricate story. The problem is, I think it's a little too intricate for what we know is not real
that's
anyway.
The thing. I agree. Because I was really like into the idea of the first issue. Because it felt like it was doing more than any other nightmare where it really wanted to be a nightmare scenario, but actually telling a story.
Now, right?
And I agree to the point where he knows he needs more speed. He's going to go back up to the Justice League Watchtower and fight Hal about going back and doing this to the point where Hal is like, pretty much, his body's ripped limb from limb by Barry. But he's like, pull yourself together, Hal, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't need to. And he goes to the 25th century to go see Eobard Thawne and get the Spear of Destiny from the Flash Museum of the 25th century and steal Eobard's speed because he needs more speed. He needs the Spear of Destiny to stop Grodd and all of these things. It is a lot of story in this, but what does it do ultimately for what we're doing, for what we're saying for Barry or anything? Because, is it just ultimately Barry is willing to cross the line for friends and family? Like, he is always, even though he's like this light and hope, and you never think of Barry as anybody but somebody who will walk the line steadily. But this shows you that maybe in his deepest, darkest subconscious, he can go further and, darker than he ever wants to.
It's weird because I didn't think that the play to me was, what we would normally expect at first was, and you said it last issue, the idea that he will sacrifice himself for anybody. And that's really cool. It goes a little too far. He ends up where also just other things thrown in, that awful Hal Jordan that's all burned up and shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're never going to really have any time to develop that. But, Hal gets ripped apart, but nothing is going to wow you because it's not real. It's not
the ideas
happening.
of these things, like I said, is it that Barry is willing to go too far in his own subconscious? But even in his weird nightmare dream, we continue on with the scene where he fights Eobard Thawne. He vibrates his hand into Eobard's chest and then rips it out, but his hand stays inside Eobard's chest, so he has a hand missing, and we continue to have Barry's hand missing the entire issue, and then sucks Eobard's speed out of his body, leaving him with nothing left, and then goes back to the past to go to try to save Wally West over and over again, only to find out that the thing that's been inside the Speed Force this entire time is actually all the times that Barry's gone back in time and they become this amalgam inside the Speed Force and became this weird evil dead monstrosity that now he has to kill.
I didn't want the monstrosity, though. I actually thought that it was just going to be that play of, oh my God, it was me doing this and I was fighting against it, like that sort of thing, but it ends up that crazy looking monstrosity.
But I don't even know what's more monstrosity. You have this collective of Barry Allen's Flash inside the streak of lightning that is the Speed Force, but then you have Barry Allen himself with long werewolf dog legs that bend like, a dog's legs would bend, a stumpy hand, and a Spear of Destiny while he has a freaking back that goes right into his head with no neck, a flat front face. It just gets so fucking weird, and I don't understand
I don't even know
what you're trying to do at this point in time. I know it's a nightmare, but the scene, all the other stuff, it feels kind of natural to a dream. Him becoming this weird monstrosity is like, oh yeah, my body had to compensate for the friction. I'm like, this is weird. And
that's the weird play is, again, by the end, and this is the book that I actually was talking about. I couldn't remember if it was this one, but at the end, when you have to be continued in the pages of Night Terror's Night's End, you do end up seeing Insomnia. You end up seeing the Wonder Woman evil version there and some of these other crazy things. And that way, that's what Insomnia is doing. He's gathering up these characters, and you ended up having them, at least in a maybe the most clever way.
You said that because the thing is, when we have Barry eventually wake up because Wally wakes him up, he's been running around in his sleep, and for some reason Wally didn't go to sleep this whole time, or he woke up beforehand. I don't know how the rules work because Barry's woken up by Wally West, but then you have Insomnia and his weird horde of monstrosities. I only looked at that front werewolf looking fuck and thought, man, that looks a lot like what Barry looked like in his dream. I thought, that's a weird, coincidence. But I never looked at the people in the background and thought anything more of them besides for, hey, it's just some more bullshit sleepless nights.
Yeah, it looks like those are like the heroes and their nightmares.
Because I can see the one that might be Wonder Woman, but I think that's
the only one that I can see, right?
The Queen, but who's the rest though?
Yeah, we'd have to see, but I think that's what's going on. They're gathering them up. Then I also just because I wanted to and the giggle. I just thought that for good measure, that barn and that's the sanctuary. It's burning now, Eric. When they come back and that
you
thing's
say
on
barn.
fire.
I look at that. That's got a
right.
steeple. That looks like a church that Barry set on fire.
It's a really intricate story in a way that
doesn't need to be.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
It's a weird mixed bag for me because I appreciate how much trying went into telling this story that doesn't ultimately matter because it's just a tie into an event, like we said in the first thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter for what we learn in Night Terrors number 3, but it's trying so damn hard at not having to do anything. And the thing is, like, I appreciate it, but like, would I have, like, I don't know, because feeling like you're not like doing less might have been more in the scenario, even though we'll have issues that do pretty much what feels like nothing. I'll bitch that there's nothing going on here. It's weird. I don't know how to feel about it.
That's the issue. And when we go and talk about a couple of others today, again, there's going to be ones that I bet you don't quite agree on. But the idea that they
Green Lantern
do a lot.
Did like way less than this, way more enjoyable.
That's the one I'm talking about, Eric. So we actually agree. What I was, and when you have that Green Lantern one, and we'll get to it, obviously, when we do that.
You showcase how badass Hal Jordan is, and you let it go the entire time, and I appreciate you for doing that.
This kind of wants to do that, but it got lost along the way with too much. There's too much entanglement.
When you have Werewolf Barry, it gets weird.
Yeah. You also, in this, and I keep bringing this up each week, where somebody said, well, maybe this Night Terrors originally they thought might be something where you're going to introduce some characters, some concepts, things like that new readers might not know. And you could have done something with Eobard. You could have done something with that, but it's just everything is just piled on top. And then, like you said, you get weird friction burn. Barry turns into werewolf. I don't know what's going on, and let's get the hell out of here.
And the thing is, I probably would have had the entire thing about Eobard Thawne because, in my mind, more than anything, the Reverse Flash is the ultimate nightmare of Barry Allen for everything he's done and what he could do again.
And you're just throwing some things in here, but what would you give it?
Ultimately, I'm going to give this I really enjoyed the art. Like I said, I appreciate all the depth that went into telling this story and what it wanted to do. It's just off the wall weird in the nightmare scenario. Like, I'm telling you, the nightmare scenario, it's cool how we jump from scene to scene. Things don't make sense, but they don't need to. And Barry goes along with this crazy scenario just to save Wally. It's cool, but it's just so much. Look, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10, and it's a lot. I really appreciated that first issue, but this one just feels like it's somehow even way too much more than we had in that first issue.
I'm a 5, and it's regular 5. I wouldn't give it an F. I think he's trying. He's trying more than some of these others are doing, but it just didn't pan out. It really kind of didn't make much sense by the end. But we'll move on to the next one. And what is that, Eric?
Night Terrors, Robin, number 2, written by Kenny Porter with art by Miguel Mondonco, Adriano Lucas, and Tom Napolitano. And if you remember for this story, we have Night Terrors Robin, which features Jason Todd and Tim Drake, who, for some reason, they're sharing a dream every now and again. Like, sometimes they're in their dream. They can hear each other through, like, dream walls. They can break through these dream walls to get into each other's dreams. But ultimately, it's just pretty much our sad sack Robin sitting here saying, man, I'm not good enough, and then telling each other, you know what, Jason Todd, you are good enough. You didn't fail. Other people failed you. Well, you didn't fail either, Tim. You did everything you did for everybody else. And I appreciate that to a degree, too. It's just always the same thing because
that's the problem.
You have Jason Todd confronting crowbars. You have Tim Drake confronting the death of his father from Captain Boomerang. They know they're in a dream. They know what's going on. But like even in Zatanna, the idea where our characters will know these things and they'll still wear them down until our characters end up feeling like they're going into what's it's not called the underbelly, but the underneath, like they're being sunk down because they've lost all hope. And it's in this place that Jason Todd and Tim Drake both find each other again, and they inspire one another, which elevates them back into the regular nightmare. Oh, yeah, it's okay. It's how I see it. It's just kind of the whininess of those characters that, like, you always get with them. Like, they still have to overcome for some reason. But it said, we elevate each other into our regular nightmares. And then there's Insomnia. What's all this? What's all this? I thought I took away all your hope. You can't have hope. So let's do everything that we did in the previous issue and the beginning of this issue all over again.
Yep, that is my problem. What you end up having is a really cool deal. I haven't read a lot of things with Jason Todd and Tim Drake, and the whole play of Tim being the Robin.
And the stuff you will read, it's all Jason being an asshole.
Yeah, so what you have, though, is here you have the next Robin, Tim, who was the one who kind of forced his way in. You end up having Jason, the outcast, but they're coming together. They're kind of building each other up. But the problem is, last issue we had, hey, guys, it's a nightmare. Hey, Jason, you got a lot of red hoods and some crowbars going at you. Oh, no. Hey, that's
Daddy,
Tim Drake, your dad.
I
He
can't
got killed
save
by
my
Boomerang.
people in my life.
Oh, no. So in this one, they go, hey, Jason. It's almost like, I don't want to say prison cells. It really feels like they're at like a camp. And you, like me and you are at camp, and you're at the next
prison
tent.
cells.
I like the idea because it's kind of nicer. You're in the next tent, and I'm yelling over to you, hey, Eric, you're pretty cool. And then you're like, shut up, shorty. I'm going to get in trouble. I'm like, what a dick. That's end scene. But no, it's, hey, you're pretty good. I think that you're better than you think, and you're not an outcast. We like you, Jason. Oh, well, if you're going to say that, I think you're pretty smart and one of the better Robins, and you're pretty good. All right, so what should we do? Let's go fight the things that we ended up having in the first issue to prove that we believe it's enough.
It's such a weird idea because when you have them trying to elevate each other out of the underneath the nightmare where they're like, you go where you have no despair. It's like, you're not alone, Jason, and you're stronger than you think, Robin. Now show them what you got. And our heroes elevate themselves back up to fight Insomnia. And it's like, what are you guys doing here? I thought I got rid of this. Well, I guess I have to do it all over again. And then you have Tim, who even though he understands exactly what's going on, has to explain himself to Insomnia and his dead father who's attacking him. Like, look, I didn't do this. I have, tried to, yes, people have, died, but I've saved way more people. It wasn't my fault. The people who, I understand you need dialogue in a comic and stuff like that, but the idea that they're expressing themselves so much, they still have to defend themselves, even though they know they don't have to, because they just had that whole rah-rah speech to each other. It feels so
that's
weird
all you needed.
Unneeded.
And didn't it feel, it was funny because what you end up, and there's some neat things, but they just out of nowhere. You end up at one point where, Tim's like, no, I didn't, let everybody down. All of a sudden, these boomerangs come out of the floor with all the Bat family. It's a neat little visual, but it doesn't mean anything.
It's almost like a Freddy Krueger claw in a dream.
When you end up, and like we said, the idea where, hey, Tim, you're pretty good. It wasn't your fault. You saved everybody. You're awesome. That's enough. You don't have to have him almost whiny, bitchy. Oh, come on, Insomnia. I'm really good because you don't need that. You're really over the top, just grinding it in, and it was a slog. This one was such a slog to get through for me.
The moments for me, though, when we have our heroes go into the utter despair and they find each other and they elevate each other, it's a really nice moment between Tim and Jason. Even the point when, I'm kind of rolling my eyes at the way that Tim is approaching Insomnia and his dead father and everything that's frightens him from his past. When Jason's doing his thing, his nightmare sucks because they're just fucking these fucking red hood monsters that are attacking with crowbars. But when he decides he's not going to fight anymore, he's not going to do what they want because he's the Robin who never does what he's told. He lays down his arms and he's like, I don't need to do this by myself. I have backup. And he says, Tim, I need your help. And he just sits there and waits for Tim because he has faith and trust that Tim will find a way to him, and Tim does. And I'm like, that was a nice moment.
Yeah,
I
that
dug
was
that.
nice.
And then you had both the Robins together right there to try to take on both of their fears and nightmares and work through their pain together to move themselves even further up into their subconscious, into the real world.
I think one of the plays here, though, when you're doing this, you have to set it up that I understand one of the rules that Harley just came out of nowhere and said, well, we haven't really seen it come to play that much, but maybe with Dead Man, we're not sure. But the idea if you die in the dreams or nightmares, you die in real life.
Jim, that's just common knowledge.
Well, that is actually.
I watched Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 and 3 the other day. I know how shit happens.
Well, but my problem is when you're dealing with that, I never once thought that any of these characters would die. So you have to play it a little, and he does play
You're
it
right. Somebody should have died.
Well, somebody should have. You have to.
Angel Breaker.
Yeah, really. Well, it's a Flash, usually then. But you end up where all this going on, I liked the moment, but it wasn't like I was at the edge of my seat. I knew what was going to happen. I was waiting for it. It was still nice. But the way that you set this up, it really was just set up, yell about the setup, get back to the setup to fight it, then explain it again, and then team up. And at least one thing here, which I don't think will happen though anyway, is they are sharing I like when you get out and then Jason's like, I don't even know if that was really Tim. I would laugh if it wasn't, but at least they came to an agreement and liked each other, and that might carry over.
And they woke up in the real world, and they're going to go meet up right now because Jason thinks that somebody needs a beat down. He doesn't want to do it alone. On my way, brother.
And that's nice, but where else will you have? Because one of the things, just going by solicits, I don't know anything of what Tim's going to be doing. But Jason joins up with Catwoman in the Gotham War and goes against the Bat Family. So maybe this is all thrown out anyway, which I don't think it means anything.
I'm telling you right now, Tim's always a good little soldier. He wants to be Robin more than anybody else, and that's been his identity. It's been a part of his identity crisis for so long that it is a part of him, because like knowing that he needs to be Robin because he doesn't have anything else, doesn't know who he is. But maybe after this experience, if we have some weird synergy that continues on after Night Terrors, Tim Drake will actually team up with Jason Todd with Catwoman against Batman for the first time, because with all the stuff that he's been doing all this time, Batman, it hasn't been working. And Tim has some ideas. We saw that in James Tynan's, like Detective Comics, that he has things that he thinks will work better than what Batman. So there's a possibility that maybe that will do. I'm just saying all this. I don't think it'll happen either, but it could be cool.
I would say no chance, because the idea that the Tim Drake that we're dealing with is the Chip Zdarsky Tim Drake, who just went through the multiverse to save Batman. He's not going to go against him. If he does, that's ridiculous. Well, the play is you end up having interviews and things like that. After Night Terrors, Batman comes out and then falls asleep for 2 months again to set everything up. Maybe they're pissed off. They're like, look at this lazy ass. I didn't fall asleep. Look, Jason and Tim, they ain't falling asleep, but that was the play leading into it.
That would be a cool division that you'd never see, though. Let's say we have the 4 Robins, right? And I'm not going to count Stephanie Brown. I'm going to piss a lot of people off by doing that. But you have, Dick and Damian follow Bruce because you feel like they would, right?
They would.
And then
always,
you have Tim and Jason follow Selena. And there'd be this weird, breaking of the family that would be really interesting to me.
I say always with Damian. I mean against Selena. There's no way he's joining up with Selena.
Damian now, at least.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, he was walking around in the sand dunes saying it's hard to be the father and son, and he wants to do that. But
better way to try than
there's
Gotham
no
War.
way. You are not getting, if anything in that Gotham War has where Dick Grayson is going, or even Barbara goes against Batman, then bullshit. I will call bullshit until the day
I'm just going to wait for the weird thing, because out of nowhere, it's going to be like we had in the War of Jokes and Riddles, where for some reason Bruce Wayne is going to sponsor either the Riddler or the Joker for $1 billion. And that's where Dick Grayson's going to come in. Look, who wants me to back them with $1 billion to fund their Gotham War?
Well, it's Heartless, obviously. Heartless is there. He's out with it all. But yeah, overall.
What a stupid story that was. People love that. I'm like, that part made no sense, because Bruce Wayne never made a decision, and then the next issue, Batman, not Bruce Wayne, but Batman is working with Riddler.
Yeah, murder. But all of this going down, what would you give this issue?
This is a very disappointing issue with a few, like I'm telling you, a handful of cool moments for Robins that I love, but the scenarios that you put these characters that I love into, it's just the basic bitch stuff, and then you just repeat the stuff that we already did to the point where it is just boring with characters that I love, and I hate when that happens, because that should never happen for me. And in the handful of moments, the art was okay. I think for some reason the Tim Drake stuff was way better than the Red Hood stuff, but it shouldn't have been, but that's the way it felt. And I'm going to give it a regular 5 out of 10, I think, because it was a disappointing issue with some okay moments here and there, but it did not do enough to make the issue good overall.
Amazingly, I'm going to go a little higher than you with a 5.5, because I did like those moments. The concept of it, if you end up saying to me beforehand, listen, first off, we were like, why are they sharing you're never going to find out rules in these nonsense things. But at the beginning, if you said, hey, it's going to be Jason and Tim, and they're going to kind of come together and inspire each other. All right, that elevates up to a 5.5 for me. But the whole play of it and how it ended up going, it was boring. It was boring, and you just repeated.
Those long lipstick-looking Red Hood monster, the Red Hood, actual mask, they look just like lipstick to me, but then with the Joker smile on them,
oh, yeah.
I hated them so much. Looking at them with their stupid crowbars beating Jason, I'm like, this is the worst kind of story for Jason. You have Joshua Williamson, who did all that work for Damian Wayne in the Robin book. People say it's bullshit because the Lazarus tournament didn't go anywhere, and I can agree with that. But the character work of Damian was top notch in my mind. But every time anybody touches Jason Todd, it is the same bullshit over and over again. And I need some writer to come and say, hey, I care about this character. Let's get him to a different place.
Well, we thought maybe that was going to happen in that beginning of the Urban Legends with Chip Zdarsky. It kind of went back to the end. Yeah, or Tess with C. They keep going. I think it's one of those when they end up starting, okay, I'll do something. People don't. We have to get back to the, plain old basic bitch shit. But would it shock you that there are 6 reviews for this issue, and only one is under a 9? There's 2 10s. What? please, you got to read more comics.
And maybe
people.
they're there for the handful of moments that I talked about. Some really good moments, but it does not make a great comic overall.
And maybe it's like Stockholm Syndrome by this point. Like, well, at least I like one little thing about it.
Hey,
so
you're still waiting for that to kick in.
Yeah, I am. I really am. But that is it for the first section of books. We will take a little bit of a break, and then we'll be back with 3 more to end the show. Yes, Eric, here we are with the second segment of books, and we'll see. Maybe these will be worth the price of admission. What do you think, Eric?
Maybe.
We were debating on how long this section's going to be, and I didn't do this on purpose, but really, the books that had more meat and cheese in them were in that first section.
That mattered.
Whew, these books, while I think one of the better books of the entire event is in this section, I do mean Zatanna, Eric, right?
Obviously.
We end up
Hex
where
violence.
Not a lot is going on. That Hex and Violence is going to be pushed by so many. It's going to drive me nuts every time.
It's going to be so good.
It made me feel like a dummy. Remember
I can't wait.
It was like, well, you ended up having Bleeding Cool leak the idea that there was going to be a Hex and Violence miniseries. And luckily, somebody came to their fucking senses and said that's not going to sell. But it just would have been like a twisting the dagger at my side every time.
I'm still waiting for it to be announced.
Every time it's on the page, I feel like a damn fool, and I know that you're laughing. I know that you're sitting there laughing, and I'm like, you jerk. I'm going to blame now. I'm blaming the backwards magic on why I didn't get it at first.
Whatever you need to do.
But that's not what we're starting with. We're starting with what I think is the better book of this event. What is it, Eric?
Night Terrors, Green Lantern #2, written by Jeremy Adams, with art by Eduardo Pansica, Jordi Tarragona, Julio Ferreira, Luis Guerrero, and Dave Sharp. And in this issue, we have Hal Jordan plunged into the nightmare world, where he's confronted with his greatest nightmare and fear of all time, him being possessed by Parallax. And the greatest thing happens in this issue, because Hal Jordan, whether you love the character, you think he's the greatest Green Lantern ever, you have other favorite Green Lanterns, he is definitely a captivating...
You're saying like most sensible fans is what you're saying, right?
I sit there, I'm like, I love Kyle Rayner. People will tell you, like, John Stewart's their guy. You'll be like, Guy Gardner's my guy for some reason.
Like
but
Guy.
You have all of this going on, and Hal Jordan... He is the man, and he has been the man for the longest time. And this issue just solidifies it because he comes right out. He's like, I'm in a nightmare. You're doing this fucking nightmare bullshit to me where you're trying to show me, but you don't understand. I am not a Green Lantern. I'm the Green Lantern. And what I do is I use my willpower. I overcome fear. So everything you throw at me, I'm just going to whoop your ass over and over again and make you try to do more. And you know what? That's just going to make me more and more angry. So I whoop your ass even harder. And I'm and I am here for it.
Yeah, and I'm here for it too. And the thing is, with the Hal Jordan, there is that play where it's not as cool to say that you like Hal because he is the man. So it is, hey, I'm going to like this guy and I'm going to like that guy. It happens a lot with sports where you're like, oh man, Michael Jordan wasn't my favorite bull. I like Scottie Pippen or I like B.J. Armstrong, something like that, because everybody likes, the main guy. But here's the thing that, here's the thing. I was so annoyed with him his entire career, but still, I admit he's great. But
it's because you're contrarian, that's all.
He just rubbed me the wrong way for some reason. But
it's insane.
I do have reasons. But you end up where in this, I think this plays out so well. And this issue, somebody can, you could throw things in and say, oh, basic bitch, Parallax, of course, this. But what ends up happening in this, which I really do like, especially because we interrupted the Dawn of DC, the one thing that people were upset about in that Dawn of DC, not everybody loved that beginning with Jeremy Adams, because they said, oh, this is Hal, he's immature, he's not, he's being pretty much retrogressed in a bit where they thought he would have evolved from then, and this shouldn't have been the stuff that he's doing.
It felt like the beginning of the New 52 with what they were trying to do with the character when he came back to Earth.
This, and you're reminded, oh shit, like he is kick-ass. Like he is not, and again, it's not what I thought, the typical deal, there's gonna be a Carol thing. No, he's going against his fears in here, and he's going for it, and you keep getting that little hint that will be followed up when we get back to the Dawn of DC, what happened to Kilowog, and I think
one of the biggest disappointments of this issue, and I know you don't want to freaking let the cat out of the bag during Night Terrors,
event, right?
But when you talk about what's going on with Kilowog and stuff like that, and the idea that he might be dead, I'm like, you're not doing enough, because boy, I want to know what this mystery is.
The funny play is, I guarantee you there's Jeremy Adams, he's writing this, and he's kind of conflicted. First off, these are their own Night Terrors numbered issues. I don't know how they're going to collect them in a trade. It's probably going to be in the Night Terrors trade.
Yeah,
so
probably.
you're not going to want to do that. But he wants to do it. So he's like, it almost feels like he doesn't want to go too far, but goes a little bit too far because then you want more. But I think it plays out well of, oh my God, we got to get back to the Dawn of DC. I want to see what's happening here. And out of nowhere, from nobody else, I think, in this whole play, you do end up Hal waking up and reacting and saving everybody around him because of him waking up in that airplane, which was crazy. And I'm like, okay, Damian said 2 hours. We have this. Everybody's doing the other thing, but I could say the autopilot hit on when they went, and it's just flying around and stuff like that.
And honestly, the thing is, we have a weird situation where, like, it seemed like in previous weeks that we had when people did start waking up, almost like the Nightmare Wave had concluded. Like, everybody was being brought out. But in other times, you see characters that overcome their nightmares to the point where they wake themselves up. And I want to think that's what Hal Jordan did right away for how much ass he kicked in his head.
And just think, all the others, and seriously, I didn't even hit it yet, but I mean, he's a dream warrior.
The greatest dream warrior ever.
He is. Almost all these others are, like you said about Barry. I think Barry's a smart guy. I love him, right?
Lost in his own head.
He's lost, and you said he's going, oh, it's a dream. That's how things go. You know, like when he sees his mind, I'll play around with it. Hal, and this is just like
willpower spiking.
Yeah, and willpower spiking, and just like the idea of, and just the idea that right away the nightmare is scared of him. I'm like, all right, here we go.
When I'm reading this book, and you have Hal presented with his, his version of Parallax back in the 90s and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, buddy, you picked the wrong planet and the wrong person to try and scare. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, those weren't fears you found. Those were moments when I was faced with a choice, the worry about what might happen next, or the push the throttle forward and fly into the sky, and just starts walloping on these nightmare versions of himself, even to the point where he just kicks his ass, like it almost like punches it out of the scenario of the dream to where you get to a new scenario, and it just keeps trying, like, here's Parallax, here's Ab and Sur. That's not working because he keeps getting his ass kicked. Well, here's your dead parents and stuff like that. Like, you're just making me angrier and angrier to the point where Insomnia, it's himself. And the thing is, I want to say it's Insomnia, but Insomnia, even in the Batman book, was talking about, this is not me, this is your own fears against you. But that's the thing. Let's just say this is Hal Jordan's own fears against him. He knows how to combat that, overcome that, because he is the Green Lantern.
There is a moment in here that ended up like, okay, I'm starting to get that idea. Again, what I said earlier about these nightmares. Remember, it was the Batman book that Insomnia really was stressing. These aren't me doing it. These are your fears and that. So
because you need to do that in the Batman, so the Zur and R personality isn't like, it's not an attack against him. It's Batman's own brain.
But you even have it in here where it's almost, he says, leave me alone. Insomnia calls to me is what you end up having. And I think that's where, again, when we get to that night set, this is what, and it's going to be a weird one. You're going to have Hunchback Werewolf Barry, but in this, you're just going to have, little crazed-looking Parallax. It's like, he's not going to really fit with the rest of them. He's going to be really the deal, right?
By the end of this nightmare creation, reveals its actual self by the end, you have, a weird, black armored-up Parallax, with the shoulder pads.
That's what I think it is.
Which looks like red angel wings, a red mask, and, vampire fangs and vampire claws. So, that is what I have to assume is the nightmare creation here.
And here's the thing. For some reason, this didn't confuse me in a way that I think it did with us with the Ravager book, when you ended up saying, oh, that's, this murder man. That's actually Deathstroke, because he wanted to bring him in to fight you, and we actually thought it was really, the deal, that we thought it was Deathstroke.
I still think it is.
I think it was just the nightmare versions like this. Like, this is how Parallax is saying. I think that's what we're going to get, Murder Man again in that deal.
I can go with the idea that Insomnia is going to try to show the world the true vision of what the Justice League is by showing them the nightmare versions that they create for themselves, okay? I am fine with that concept, but the things that they were throwing down in that Night Terror's Ravager, the idea of the blood connection that Rose shares with Slade Wilson, and how she is a doorway, a bridge to the real waking world and stuff like that, but for where Slade currently is, in his Bacta tank, weird coma, full of, whatever the darkness did to him, I can just see it being different.
Yeah, I was just playing the idea that even say this Parallax, we know it's not any sort of thing except the nightmare version, but might want to get real. Get real with the kids.
Get real, Parallax.
I want to get through this and I want to pop out of here and whatnot. But like you said, what I really like is that progression where you end up where it does seem the nightmares are really scrambling at one point. Like, oh no, I better be having Sir here and act like throw shade. Oh, that didn't work. I better be the family. But then it does end up bringing up Kilowog and the whole thing. Oh, you know what happened on and that does pull, Hal off a little. And he actually even says, oh, I got to a nerve there. But he ends up being able to fight back.
Oh, even the point when he is fighting back, and even like where the nightmare itself is scared, and Hal is done. Hey, scaredy monster, we aren't done yet. Hal becomes the villain of the story where the victim is the nightmare monster.
That's the best.
And even like it's trying as hard as it can. It shows him the funeral of his father again, where now everybody is a terrible zombie man. And what Hal Jordan does is he becomes Ash Williams from the Evil Dead series, where he's got chainsaw constructs, a fucking shotgun construct, and he's just tearing apart some deadite asses, and it's amazing to look at.
And you end up, because we were even talking about, what was it, Philip Kennedy Johnson was the one who went with the Freddy Krueger deal. And we thought, okay, you're playing, you're having fun. And that's what I like about this. It is fun, but fun in the way of watching a horror movie. And like you said, the call
and
comes
watching
from within the nightmare.
Overcome us, because that's one of the biggest problems, where we have our heroes who are smart people. That's why we love to read about them. But like we just talked about in the Robin, it's like, I know what's going on here, and then they're just taunted by their genes again, where they have to explain themselves later on. And like we talk about Zatanna, Zatanna knows what's going on, but then she's all in the fetal position because her nightmare version of her father is taunting her. I'm like, stop it! You know this isn't real, and Hal does too. And he takes action. He takes charge, and he shows me that he's Hal fucking Jordan.
And he's one of the few who's done this. And when you do it, I get it. When you're writing a story and you're told, okay, 2 parts, they're nightmares. You do want to show those fears. You do want to have it, but you have to really think things through and say, these are heroes, and they would know better. And even with Hal's just like, screw it, I'm going to attack. And I'll tell you right now, with Jeremy Adams in the Green Lantern book, we have enjoyed it, but not everybody has. And I didn't feel up until the point where I thought he was getting the character as well as he was getting Wally in the Flash run, because it did seem, okay, this seems like it's back to the basics, but it felt like, somebody who's just learning the character and then writing it at the same time. This actually makes me think better, and I'm excited about. Well,
that's one of the problems. The thing is, because my biggest problem that we had previously before Night Terrors is the way that Jeremy Adams was writing Hal Jordan, not Green Lantern, because here we pretty much just get Green Lantern kicking ass. Hal Jordan is still a little iffy for me, though.
Yeah, we'll see, and hopefully, because this is one of the few books that it does really feel more connected to the regular run than actual Night Terrors. Yeah, you're in the nightmares, but it really does feel like these could have been just issues of the Dawn of DC book.
We led in the Night Terrors in the actual book, and we lead out of the Night Terrors into the actual Green Lantern book in this issue.
And there's obviously Jeremy Adams is writing it, so it fits. And so I really am excited about that. And like you said, he has fun, whether it's all him or if he said to the art, yay, have fun with it. But the Ash part is really fun, but it never goes further than what I would think of Hal's construct. They're very Hal constructs anyway.
Oh, yeah, they're very basic.
Basic and
even when he's fighting Ab and Sir, he creates a test of strength from a carnival game and swallops him with a mallet into the air. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah, maybe him saying, take that, Clark, maybe a little too much. That was a little eye-rolling, but it was fun. It was fun with that. But
the machine construct told him he was the strongest man ever. Take that, Clark.
There you go. Now, in that,
I'd be doing shit like that all the time with a Green Lantern ring. Just telling me how great I am.
Yeah, really. There's 2 things, though, that we usually, talk about and whether it goes in with the score. And one of them, it won't go, but I do want to point out, this might be one of the best covers I've seen. I love this cover. Is so good. It looks like I'd put it up on my wall and it'd scare the shit out of me. Every time I go to bed, it'd be like a blacklight poster next to my Kiss one.
All the green parts would be velvet, glow in the dark.
Oh, yeah. It's so cool looking. It's so great, but we usually don't.
It's funny because I never look at the covers, and I didn't even look at this one, but it is really badass.
It is really badass. But
it almost looks like something you would have seen in Blackest Night.
Exactly. It really looks cool. And the other thing that we talk about a lot of times is, are we going to let the backup factor into the story? Because I didn't really enjoy the Alex Segarra backup in the first issue. I was confused with what was going on. Then you get to this and it becomes just bad. It's just basic bitch bad.
We get done the Hal Jordan story and we jump into our backup that's written by Alex Segarra with art by Mario Foxillo, Prasad Rao, and Dave Sharp. And it's for some reason, it's so weird to have a Sinestro backup in this book, because we know that Sinestro was in the Green Lantern book. We saw him just sitting there freaking with a scowl on his face and a bar, but that's pretty much all we know of the character. So the idea that we have Sinestro on Earth, part of Night Terrors, where he's facing good versions of himself and bad versions of himself, wanting to know, how can you be this if you're that? How can you be that if you're this? And ultimately him waking up saying, I know exactly what I am. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, we don't know what's going on with Sinestro right now or anything from his past before the Green Lantern series. So this, more than most things in Night Terrors, means absolutely nothing to the reader because you can't glean anything.
No, you can't. And you actually gave a little bit of a benefit. I remember the first issue because you said it. Remember when you had Sinestro and he's walking down the street and people are like, hey there, buddy, get the hell out of my way. And the fear of Sinestro is actually not being feared. That would be his nightmare. And you said, that's pretty cool. And then it went, this is what we get in here visually and even the story is what I really fear that we're going to get a lot of from like a Cy Spurrier Flash coming back in September. Shit like this that is wonky and wacky to be wacky. But at one point, he's trying to figure out what's going on. He says, I think it might be my daughter. No, it can't be. Until next page, he goes, oh, shit, it is. And then all of a sudden he wakes up and says, I'm back, baby. I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck happened.
Well, it's even so confusing having the nightmare of Sornik here who wants to take her father down because when you first see her, she's a Green Lantern and then she transforms into a monstrous version of a Yellow Lantern. And where we've had her previously, at one point she became the leader of the Sinestro Corps. She stopped being a Green Lantern. And then other people decided they didn't know that from reading, or they just decided that she was a Green Lantern again. So we had this back and forth. We don't know what's currently going on with Sornik after she had her spat with Kyle Rayner. No, I don't think we're going to see her Night's End at all.
You don't think that monstrosity, like one little page with her
and again,
there? And
what does that do for Insomnia where he wants to show the Justice League as monsters?
I don't know. Yeah, it really doesn't. So I guess that's not the case. But
Sinestro wakes up in the rain. I know who I am now, and I've always been, and it's time to let the world know, too. I'm like, what does that do for me?
But Eric, it says the end? I hope. But if you end up continuing the Sinestro backups, that we will. That's fine. This doesn't really do anything for those. There's nothing like I'm thinking anything different.
We didn't have Sinestro backups previously, did we?
Yeah, we did. Well, no, actually,
no, because it was just part of the main story.
I'm thinking of just this. He was in that bar scowling. Yeah, remember, I sent you that one review, and the one guy's like, I don't know who this red dude is.
But he ain't happy.
He's not happy. And I will tell you, when you end up having, because Jeremy Adams obviously writing the series, he must not want to have Sinestro and Hal interact yet in this, or you would have thought that they'd have, one of those combined nightmares that you could have played out.
I'm tired of those.
Exactly. And you didn't have it, so you kind of get the idea, okay, this wasn't the time or place. We're going to have a little bit of a time between that, but I don't think this really did anything. All I think it is to let people be reminded, or if they didn't know, Sinestro's in this book. That's all. And the weird play is it's like the end. No, you should have said, see what might happen to Sinestro in the Green Lantern book coming back in September. Get people, use these things for at least something. If they don't mean anything, at least use them to get people to start buying books when the Dawn of DC comes back. But yeah, I'm really hoping, and I said, the idea, hey, the backup, you said that something tells me we're going to get a backup and it's going to be Alex Seguera doing a Sinestro backup at some point. I don't want that. I really don't, because this was confusing and pretty much unnecessary in an issue that I was having so much
balls to the wall action.
You hit a brick wall when you turn
totally
to this,
did.
Right?
And that's the thing is we were talking about when we were talking about the idea of Night Terrors the Flash, where that book was just bogged down with so much stuff with what they wanted to do with the Flash Nightmare, which like I said, I appreciated with what they were trying to do. It just didn't work out for me. Ultimately, this issue has a lot less going on. I'm telling you, and it's a quick fucking read. I'm telling you, all the issue is Hal kicking ass and showing you why he is the Green Lantern, why he's the coolest Green Lantern out there. And that's all it needed to do. You hit that freaking Sinestro backup, it bogs everything down, slows it down. You don't even know what the fuck you read by the end. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, I want this book, for how much fun I had, to be like one of my, maybe tied for my book of the week. And I want to still do it, but that backup wants to take my score down. And I don't know if I should just say, fuck it, I'm going to keep this as book of my week with another one, just because of how much fun I had. And it's so weird because, like I said, Green Lantern, the main story, not a lot goes on. Not a lot at all, but it was a lot of fun to read. Look, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to cheat my own rules. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I'm going to act like the backup never happened. Actually, no, fuck it. I had so much fun. I'm going to act like the backup still happened and still give it a 7 out of 10.
And you would have had a better score, right? I'm telling you, I'm a 7.5, which is exactly, it's exactly what I end up with you. I would have been an 8, but the idea that I hit that brick wall, but really, if you end up, because again, the tie-ins, they don't matter. None of these matter. But what you got here really does give you that like awesome feeling of, man, Hal Jordan kicks ass. He is
can't
awesome.
Wait to get back to that Green Lantern.
I can't wait to read it. Oh my God, this is the guy writing the book. I hope that it's half as good as it, because this was, it really served the purpose of no purpose, because these had no purpose at all. But there you go. Jeremy Adams just keeps impressing us each time he writes something, and yet DC seems to not get that. It's ridiculous. 7.5 from me, but what are we going with next? Am I the deal
you
next?
Are.
Or you?
You are next.
Oh, God. Now I know what's next. I'm pulling up my notes. It's Night Terrors, Zatanna #2, written by Dennis Culver. Art by David Bell, Leon Rain Pareto, and Pat Brousseau. Oh, my God. It's the Hex and Violence. This is another issue. That it's violence and hex. This is another issue, though, that doesn't do much. But the problem is that at least you liked that first issue. It intrigued you a bit. I didn't like it.
The idea of Robot Man and Zatanna are fun, even though, like, I like the character of Zatanna, but every time she shows up on the page, it annoys me because I hate reading backwards magic.
You know what's funny, too? Just not to just keep blowing smoke up at Jeremy Adams' ass, but it's one of the few books that actually got better in the second issue and ended where you were fired up. A lot of these are duds at the end. And in this, you set up a bunch of things like these sleepless nights, way more impressive, but we don't know anything about them.
Well, the book looks great. So when you see them in this issue, they look amazing. And for some reason, the one, you have Sir Morbid, Made in Iron, which is funny because in the previous Zatanna issue, Made in Iron was called Iron Maiden, and their wretched queen, the Sleepless Queen. And it's so funny when you have this Sleepless Knight here, Sir Morbid, who has this, weird, like, skull horse face. So, like, even I think Sandman in the Night Terrors #3 called him horse face.
Every three, Sleepless Nights is horse face. We keep seeing that.
I look at this character and all I see is Alpaca from the Batman Incorporated.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Yes, you're right. And so in that, though, we are in the waking world. You have Zatanna.
Yes, and it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. And I love at one point, like, she's thinking to herself about Robot Man. She's like, I don't know why he didn't fall asleep. I'm like, really? He's a robot. I thought that was pretty
Honestly,
obvious.
The thing is, I sat there, I thought the same thing because he has a human brain. But he doesn't sleep, so it makes sense, though.
So, even so, it was a weird thing to play out. But again, you're in the waking world, and you have these sleepless nights. And we've seen them being around and whatnot, but there was never any explanation. I got in a fight with the guy about an explanation. But in this book, you almost feel like this would have been the one to do it because you're even knighting people to turn them into more. So are they actually just heroes and villains that were knighted and changed?
At one point at the end of this issue with our Sleepless Knights, right? We saw in the last issue that the Sleepless Queen has a magic fucking sword that she can knight people and turn them into a Sleepless Knight themselves. Robot Man becomes the Rustbringer, this giant Robot Man monstrosity thing. And I thought, by the end of this issue, when Zatanna gets her hand on that sword, and she's able to cure Robot Man and turn him back to Cliff Steele that we all know and love, that she was then going to go and show us that the other people are other people in DC Comics, and they were just knighted by whatever the Sleepless Queen is. But no, we never get there. There's like, oh shit, she got a sword, let's peace out.
Like all of a sudden you find out that the Queen was like Killer Frost, and she got knighted. Something like that. So and that's what I thought. I thought that oh my God, that was actually Mr. Freeze. So that was,
and we might eventually still get there in Night's End.
There's a lot of things being thrown at the end of the Night's End. But in this, though, you set up, the whole play. They ended up, the big play, Zatanna ended up trying to keep Wonder Woman and Detective Chimp from falling asleep. She could not do it, so they ended up going and putting them in that panic room. You ended up having this big maze, all that stuff.
The labyrinth underneath the Justice League Dark headquarters in the basement of the Watchtower.
And you do have a bit of a recap in this more than some others, but you did get, Cliff, Robot Man, he got knighted. He's Russ Buckets, I like to call him, right? Jackwagon. But you end up, when you're doing that, I thought that, okay, that's enough. Like, let's figure out how to get Cliff, not being that, but also deal with these sleepless nights. When you throw in, Zatanna's dad, she should know better. She should know better. And you said this
that's
earlier.
The worst part because she talks about she knows what's going on. They can manifest the nightmares of the waking world. She talks about in the last time when, you had everybody who was dead from the Doom Patrol, like, haunting Cliff. You had her father haunting her, and Cliff and her decided to change partners and take them out so they didn't feel bad about what they were doing. And then she's like, I don't have Cliff to do that anymore. And then there you have the nightmare Giovanni Zatanna there. He's like, you ain't good enough, Piccolo. And she starts getting to the fetal position. I'm like, you just told yourself what was going on. Why are you allowing yourself to be a freaking, taken over by this once again? Be Zatanna. Be better.
And you have that play, too, as what's weird. And I guess, I don't know. The idea that they wanted this book to have Zatanna not fall asleep. You get Robot Man in there. But really, you play it out like the nightmares. Like, there's no real reason. It was just get Wonder Woman and Detective Jeff.
You are in a magical labyrinth that we've never seen before as a Justice League Dark Panic room in the center where you can keep everybody safe and everything's magically you know where you are if you're a part of the team, but everybody else gets lost. You have this whole scenario that we've never seen before that's introduced that makes it dream-like. You have the Sleepless Nights that showed up in this last issue for the first time, I believe for the first time. And then they have the power to manifest nightmare creatures in the waking world. So you just have nightmare stuff going on in the waking world. So I'm like, what is the difference? Why did we need a fucking nightmare wave?
There was no reason for that. What you have, too, and here's the explanation, is Zatanna says, this isn't some evil ghost of my father, just the hateful sorcery of the Sleepless Queen. So pretty much you're telling me it's bullshit. You just told me nothing.
Doesn't matter.
You have the big labyrinth. Would it have made you laugh if suddenly Zatanna ends up, he has magic cards, there's snow everywhere, Eric, and we end up getting that bullshit.
I do not need to make him the first appearance of the Batman Who Laughs, who had magical Joker cards for some reason.
Out of nowhere, we play that. But no, you're even playing the idea. It's definitely not a nightmare, but yet she's just saying it's sorcery, which should make her even more the idea that she doesn't want to get involved because it's not her
even
nightmare.
The idea of the sorcery involved. Here you have a magician, essentially. I'm trying to think of the word, a sorceress, for what Zatanna is. She does the magics, is what I'm trying to say. And when you have the Sleepless Queen finally catch up to her and confront her and use her sword to impale Zatanna to knight her a queen herself, and then it's like, oh, I fooled you because even though you thought you impaled me with my magic sword, I used magic that I thought was better than yours, which that nullified your magic and made me say I was okay because magic.
That ends up being the thing that she remembers then, even through the nightmare.
You gotta believe in your magic, and I believed mine more than you believed yours.
And says, hey, listen, and she's there, she's practicing. Her dad says, you're not as good as me, really, but it's also because you're not believing your magic. You're not believing it, so why would anybody else believe? She takes that into, oh my God, it was inside me all along. I believe more than,
so it's that sword.
What does she believe more than the Sleepless Queen and the sword and anything?
I believe that I'm not knighted the Dame of Death more than she thinks I am knighted the Dame of Death. And so the sword that just impaled me didn't impale me, and I'm able to take that sword from her and use this magic that is not backwards that I've never seen before to change Robot Man back into Cliff Steele. One more thing. Looking at the Sleepless Queen here, I think this is the one that you thought was the Wonder Woman in the Flash issue.
It might be. It might be because it does look like her, but bitches all over the place too. Maybe it is. I don't know. But you end up where you're playing this, and I said at the beginning with the Night Terrors #3, oh my God, we're going to defeat insomnia with the Nightmare Stone. Like, how? How does that work? I love the idea that it's almost like they think that somebody stabbed you in the back with a knife and killed you, Eric, so I'm going to bring you to life by stabbing you in the front. Like, the idea that she just gets the sword, that she believes more that it's not going to hurt her, pulls it out, and then to cure Cliff, she just runs him through. And says that ends up, I don't know how that works, but it
does.
Boom,
I'm back, baby.
And he's back. And he's like, looks like it's time to punch this horse-faced asshole right in the face. Boom, boom. And you're just like, what just happened?
And then the Sleepless Queen says, we can't deal with this shit. I'm peacing out.
Yeah. And then they run him. Not one point does the Sleepless Queen yell, I'm going to mind freak you assholes. Like, you didn't even get that. I wanted more street magic.
Well, I'm telling you, you needed some kind of magic. Even the idea where you brought to life a nightmare version of her father, well, again, not a zombie version of her father, just a nightmare version playing on her fears, that was even able to change the labyrinth around her where she didn't know where she was from where they started. So you have all this reality manipulation magic going on that you didn't even fuck with because, oh shit, Zatanna's got a sword, we out.
Yeah, you almost wish that she ended up like, yes, she was in the waking world, but she was getting drowsy. Oh my God, I gotta save them in the panic room. And then she just fell the fuck asleep so we can do it. Because that's all you do. You just end up doing it anyway, but in that weird way. But like you said at the end, it's like, we out. Uh-oh. Looks like old Rust Kicker's It's just going to call
the Rustbringer.
Looks all nuts and bolts. We're screwed. Let's get out of here. And they just leave. They just run. And and
to
then
our
at
master.
The end, and then at the end, just to piss me the hell off, you end up where, Cliff's like, this is why I hate magic, but you know what I like? Hex and violence. Let's go kick ass. I'm like, and then I'm telling you, the idea of reading Portal backwards, I couldn't do it. I kept looking at it, I'm like, Portrait love. All right, I don't know what's happening. And then I'm like,
this book just really wants to make you feel dumb, doesn't it?
Oh my God. I'm like, Portrait up top El Tayeb. Oh, Gabe El Tayeb's on this book, I thought. And then they go through a portal. Hey, let's go to the portal to battle.
Hex and violence style.
Hex and violence. One thing, we talked about the, little feels that you got in the Robin book. I actually did like at the one point when like, you know what? I never thought I'd like you as much. We're pretty good together. That's fine. Hex and violence. Get that the fuck out.
I like the idea of the team.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't think it will give you a 6-issue mini, but we've seen crazier things, right?
It's such a weird thing for what we just talked about with the Green Lantern, though, where it really showed you how badass the character is for how he was able to overcome this. So the majority of the Zatanna issue, Robot Man's the Rustbringer, trying to come after her. She does some Home Alone stuff where she creates some booby traps that's already in there to stop it for a while, but she's overcome by...
I couldn't read backwards.
She is overcome by her fears of her father, telling her she's not good enough and stuff like that. The labyrinth changing around her, fighting off the sleepless nights. And by the end, the way we show that the character is great is her just saying, oh no, I believe shit better than you believe shit, so I'm okay. And like, that is not a satisfying conclusion. And you're not doing it because the majority is her running through a labyrinth. And I'm telling you, the art looks great. Not a lot of backgrounds to really do here because you're in a goddamn labyrinth, but the art and the character work look great. It's just the story and how they do it. Like, I'm all about Robot Man as a Zatanna teaming up. I'm all about Hex and violence, mostly because it pisses you off, but I also think it's cool. But the story that we have here just does not work for me, and I still don't understand why we have the sleepless nights on top of insomnia, and what the hell are they? Where'd they come from? What do they do?
It's weird, but at the end, like, they're in that labyrinth, and it reminds you of that movie, Lady Hawk. But Obviously. It's more like that boring movie,
Dark Crystal?
Dark Crystal. But yeah, at the end, I didn't really love the first issue. This didn't, like, infuriate me. I just thought, well, this is one of those that really didn't do anything just except make me look dumb. And really, the comedy would be, I should end up, if I recorded me going through these issues, anything with Zatanna, these things that you would hear me think is what's good. Oh, she's making bubble gum. I swear to God, for some reason, quicksand in my mind, it was like some, I didn't know. What would you give this?
That's a weird thing because I really love the art in this. I'm telling you, and like the Hex and violence stuff is cool. The battle is really cool, but it's just all of the MacGuffins that you have here to make things work out for our heroes to win. It's just out of nowhere. Don't understand the story, why things are happening in this. So I can't give it a really high score, but I still enjoyed myself overall. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 as well.
Yeah, I think I'm a 5, just a regular 5, because it does. I would have liked a little more backgrounds, but they're in a labyrinth. And it's funny when we're talking about this, and the thing that just kind of popped in my mind. When we like that Green Lantern, Jeremy Adams, you're in nightmares, right? Anything can go, but he did have Hal pretty much stick with what Hal would do. There was no real, like, over-the-top MacGuffins. There wasn't anything that, that can only happen in he's doing a lot of constructs and fighting back with a lot of things. Maybe that was the play. The fantastical stuff was being left to who was attacking him and that thing, but how he reacted, even though he could have went crazy, it ended up being a little more grounded than this sort of thing. Like you said, with MacGuffins, it just didn't make sense. You were just pulling shit out your ass. 5 out of 10, but a regular 5. What are we ending with there?
You know what? I'm going to go down to a 5.5 because, like, the story just did not work as well as I wanted it to. Like,
you just like the Hex and violence, and you love me looking like a dummy.
I do. I really do.
I told you, that portal, I'm like, I don't know why I can't do it. I just can't. But I forgot I had that backwards magic song. I could have ended. Maybe I'll end the pod with that, though. I do have a diarrhea song still up my sleeve.
Save it for a while.
What are we ending with?
Night Terrors, Shazam! Number 2, written by Mark Waid, with art by Roger Cruz, Wellington Diaz, Arif Prianto, and Troy Pateri. And in this issue, we see how Mary Marvel overcomes her dark brother, zapping her to death with a lightning bolt, like she did to the rest of the Shazam family in the previous issue of the series. And ultimately, she just becomes Mary Marvel and says, I'm going to kick your ass. It's a weird situation where you do have Mary Marvel overcoming, like we wanted, like we just talked about in Green Lantern. This is pretty much all we want of our characters to do, to show us why our characters are great and why they can overcome this even in a dream scenario. And while she doesn't even necessarily believe that she's in a dream because she's going with the flow, she is showing us that she deserves to be the champion, right? She deserves to be Mary Marvel because she can overcome these things. But when you get the story to become, I'm going to use my powers to then astral project out of my body in my dream form and go to the rest of my brothers and sisters who are also having nightmares. She is a dream warrior, but then she is going into their dream, telling them that she's sharing the power so they become Shazam as well, and then they can all overcome their own dreams together. And I'm like, you're doing the things that I hate the other Night Terrors doing by having shared dreams to the point where you're actually making it happen for no real reason. Well, yeah, you could say it's magic and she has all these different powers that we don't fully understand yet, but to astral project out of your nightmare body into your brothers and sisters like bodies to give them Shazam powers to overcome their nightmares, I'm like, it's a weird take for me.
Yeah, and then at the end you just have like evil night sent. I'm like, what's that
again,
doing? It ends like, weird.
Like, even the idea of you're going from, like, you know, person to person inside the Shazam family, and, like, we're seeing their individual little dreams. Oh, no, Eugene's being bullied. Shazam, oh, he's not being bullied anymore. Pedro, he has to do speaking in front of people in a desert for some reason. He doesn't have pants. Well, Shazam, you have pants now. These little vignettes of what we're doing, they're not that interesting to me. And it's just like, even when you go into your, like, Rosa and Victor's, like, all right, I'm going to pull my dad into my mom's dream, and they're going to be swashbuckling pirates together because I can't share.
It's weird. Did it make you to play like it seemed like they go in the pirate ship and it's like, I don't know, Mom might like this. She might. It was a weird.
It's almost like a romance novel.
That's what I thought. Like Fabio's right there, like off battle. He's like fair flowing because we're inside Mom's dream. Try not to think about it too hard. And I was thinking that they were saying that to the dad, like, don't get jealous. But I guess it's like we're in this dream. I'm telling you, I'm like, I think she might be enjoying this pirate scenario of some sort. But
even the idea where she can't share the power of Shazam with her parents because they don't understand what it is to be. I'm like, it's a fucking dream. They can imagine what it's like. They're not dream warriors.
I thought that would have been neat to see them as this, and then maybe because this is the weird play. Are they going to remember this? Because at one point, Mary kind of says, was that a dream? Were they really there? Because this would end up being something interesting going back to the Shazam book of, especially Darla. She's been begging to get the power back. Oh, they get it in the Nightmare Realm, but we can't get it now again, and it might be or could this have been a play where Mark Waid's like, fuck it, I'm not going to do anything in this book for Night Terrors. Maybe they could have come up with a cool way that they do get the power to go because we want the Shazam family in the regular book, but I don't know what's going on. And it's weird because at the end of last issue, you had Mary's getting in the taxi with the insomnia. You ended up thinking there was precog stuff, and that's just kind of pushed aside.
In the way that I understood using her new power set, and we don't fully understand what it means and how the wisdom of whatever works in this way or that. I thought that she was having a precog notion about what was to come with Night Terrors, where like she was dreaming about it before it ever happened, warning her about the things to come when she gets stuck in the nightmares, when it actually does show up, because she doesn't fully understand what's happening. But that's how I understood this one.
These don't feel connected as well.
We're balls deep in the nightmares in this one, and she is jumping body to body to give her brothers and sisters, Shazam powers, making sure that her parents are together to fight off the nightmares that they have. And then you also have evil Black Adam Billy, who's overpowering her, knocking her from dream realm to dream realm.
Black Billy, people are calling him.
Yeah, well, there you go, Black Billy, that works. And then to the point where she's her own fears are being expressed, where Billy's so much bigger than her, he's the captain, that she deserved to be this, to the point where she's getting smaller and he's getting bigger. But then you have the rest of the Shazam family show up in this dream all together, and they fight back to the point where everybody wakes up and Black Billy is defeated. But it's just, you have Mary wake up like, man, that was a weird dream. Oh my God, I'm looking out the window. Black Billy's real.
Black Billy. I like the idea too at the middle of it. She's not a dream warrior. She's more in the cheap trick camp. And she says, I'm part of the dream police, bitch.
That's right.
But when you go through, when she's doing it, it's a weird play because I want to think that I'd like the idea of, we haven't gotten the Flash or the Shazam family in a while. We haven't seen Darla. But when you have it, it just doesn't feel right. Even the idea, I'm going to phase in Dream Warrior into each of the kids and give them these. But
it's just so underwhelming the way that we do it.
It is. And then Mark Waid, there's some good to be had. Again, why this doesn't work as much as, say, the Green Lantern, I don't really know. I'm not a writer, but when you do it, and she even has that play, all right, Darla will be fine. It's nice. She ends up, I trust Darla. She's great. She has the power. I'll move on. And I thought that's something pretty cool, but it didn't feel like earned. I don't know why it didn't feel earned. It didn't feel real.
Like a lot of these Dawn of DC books, we only had a few issues before Night Terrors took over, Shazam being one of them, where we don't fully understand the concept of what Mark Waid is trying to do with the Shazamly at this point, because it really does seem like we have Billy Batson, who's the captain, and you have Mary, who is Mary Marvel, and that's it. They can't share the power with the rest of the former Shazamly, and they're upset about it. Like, Freddy wants to go off and get his own power any way he can because he misses having the power himself. So actually giving the power to them here and making them feel like, what matters most is the family that we have with powers, bringing back the New 52 Shazamly. Like, is that the direction we're going to go? Because if we're not, this feels really weird.
You're right. You can't get a grip. And the weird play is, and this is where, we had the problem. And the Shazam family has been a bit of a mess for a while now, since Death Metal really has been with the whole, Tim Sheridan doing stuff with Billy and not having the power, the Rock of Eternity sunk out of the center, all that nonsense. So we're still trying to get a little bit of a lay of the land. Teddy, the future of Black Adam as a kid. It's crazy. So you have all that going on. And I think that this really shows what you're saying is correct. The idea, not that we just don't know what Mark Waid is up to, but I don't even know that he fully had, because there's only been a couple issues. So yeah, I'm sure he has things planned ahead. But at this moment, what can he do in this after only having 2 issues? He can't really do much. So he ends up trying to, I think, do fan service with, hey, since we haven't had the Shazamly, let's get it in here. But like I said, it didn't feel earned. And then it kind of makes me pissed that we're not going to get it when we go back, because it wouldn't feel right away to get it.
It's such a weird idea for me, too, where you have a Shazam Night Terrors book. You're not focusing on Billy, you're focusing on Mary Marvel. For that one thing, like, I wanted to see, what makes Billy tick, how Captain Marvel can overcome his worst nightmare. Like, do you become Captain Marvel in your dream instead of situation, something along those lines. And if we're not going to do that and you're going to focus on Mary for whatever reason, like we do in this, show us fucking Mary Marvel. Show her what these powers mean to her in this new set that's different than what she previously had. And just don't focus on the family, because up to this point, you haven't. You pretty much said, we're phasing them out, what it feels like. So don't worry about them. We're dealing with this right now. And the primary focus is Billy. But if you want to do Mary, show us Mary.
And you know what the weird play is? The idea that you do have Mary, a different pantheon. You have all the goddesses, demi-goddesses, things like that. But when you play it up here, like, you forgot, I have the wisdom of Minerva. You're like, all right, that's just the same. I wanted to see something a little different. Like, why?
Well, maybe Minerva, she's a little better than Solomon. Maybe she got them precog powers.
Well, again, wouldn't that be neat? That'd be different. I want to see why they'd be different. And the players, it's like almost in here, it's like, well, I have the wisdom of Minerva. Well, I have the wisdom of Solomon. Then they're going to have to sit down and do little, IQ tests. It's just the same. And that's why I was hoping maybe we'd see a little bit different. Like you said.
Turns out Minerva's playing checkers.
3D chess, bitch. Who knows? But I think the precog thing could have been kind of a neat little way to, and really introduce it here in this Nightmare version deal. That would have been kind of cool. But by the end, I also think that when you end up having Eugene and Black Billy looking almost the exact same, it's just the lightning bolts that's different. I think that causes some problems as well. But by the end, the art's okay. It's pretty good. No,
I enjoyed the art a lot in this whole thing. It's just the story is very, the story is just very underwhelming for me because of how Mary goes about doing things like astral project over here, and then all those other people are going to astral project into my dream, which might not even be my head anymore. Who knows? We're going to defeat Black Billy, and by the end, I'm going to wake up and Black Billy's real. That's a mess to me.
You know, it's funny, too, because we've really been enjoying, for the most part, Mark Waid's stuff coming back to DC. And the Shazam family, and Shazam, that's one of your favorite characters.
I love them.
Teen Titans you love. And we were a little thrown off this week by Mark Waid's Teen Titans as well. It seemed like he's got this weird, the mojo disappeared this week a bit.
He's got some ideas that he wants to put out there that I don't necessarily agree with, or I'm expecting more from something that he's just trying to have fun with.
Exactly. And we have it on the Patreon Spotlight just as a bit of a commercial, but when we were talking about that, it felt weird in the second issue to have almost what felt like a one-shot in that Teen Titans book, so we were kind of taken aback by that, but you'd have to go listen. Patreon.com/Weird Science to hear all that. An hour and a half long episode. But what would you give this?
Thing is, this feels a lot like this Zatanna book to me, where I think the book looks great. You have some good moments, but the good moments that you have, I don't know if they mean anything. And if you are a Shazam fan or a Captain Marvel fan, whatever you want to call it at this point, it just feels like, almost the basic bitch stuff. Like, and I say the idea because that's all we get with Green Lantern, but that was fun throughout, and it felt like it made sense for who the character was. This is just a weird mishmash of ideas thrown together in a nightmare scenario that never really feels like it comes together. And because of that, I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I think I'm a 5.5 as well. And here's the weird play is when you end up, and you said you were hoping maybe you get a little more Billy. We've had more of a focus on Mary recently, so it would have been nice to see a little
she had her own
deep dive.
miniseries.
Yeah, deep dive with Billy. But you're setting up Mary, so it's something a little different there. You end up having, but yet you still try to go back to the basics, but then it has to be fun. It just didn't feel right. It didn't feel right overall. Maybe it'll play out better as we go back to the Shazam book, and we'll be like, oh my God,
and maybe
that,
there will be some synergy, but with the idea of sharing the power in the dream, and maybe they can continue to have the power in some, manifestation in the waking world because of what Mary did in their minds. I don't know.
That would be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. And that, like we said, I think that's what Jeremy Adams was doing a bit with the Green Lantern. I'll even throw you in what's it called? An example of something like that I think that like Jeremy Adams is doing with the Beatles, Eric. They were supposed to be recording a video for Lady Madonna, but they figured since we're already doing that, let's actually write and record Hey Bulldog. You're doing things for that maybe we're getting that here. Maybe he's setting up things in the book.
You just said little kid, but I feel you.
You got me. I just wanted to throw some Beatles references in. They have a new song coming out soon, Eric. It's crazy.
The fuck does that mean?
They have a new song coming out.
How do they have a new song?
Because they're doing weird shit. I don't know. They're in the nightmare realm. They're getting zombie John Lennon out there. George
stuff?
Goes. Now it's going to be some AI involved, but it'll be pretty cool. Pretty cool, Eric. But what is your book of the week?
My book of the week is going to be a tie between Superman Annual 2023 number 1 and Night Terror's Green Lantern number 2.
Exactly the same for me. It's weird. I'm like 0.5 higher on each, but we're both there for our books of the week. I saw a lot of people really liking that Superman Annual. We did. It's just that we thought there might be a little too much at play here, and we're wondering, if things are going to play out. And you were deep diving into Parasite and how good it could be if you get a dark, gritty story. So again, that and
sad
the Teen
story
Titans,
is what it is.
Really, it would be really sad. That and the Teen Titans, the world's finest Teen Titans, that is over on our Patreon Spotlight. Again, if you go and sign up at patreon.com/Weird Science, you'll get this regular episode of our podcast each week, early access, but you'll also get a ton of shows, including that weekly Spotlight. And no fuss, no muss. You can sign up right now. Listen to the Spotlight with a 7-day free trial. So check all that out. All of the links will be in the show notes, but...
It's weird, Jim. Before you get on there, I just want to say the idea of the Superman Annual this week. It seemed like a lot of readers were divided this week about the idea of Perry White with his mayoral run. And, the idea is that did Perry White plan on running for mayor and then went into a coma and is going to continue to run for mayor when he comes out of a coma? Or is it that the fact that this ties into the first 5 years of Lex Luthor becoming the Metropolis, where Perry White ran for mayor when he was still working for the Daily Star, like in the previous continuity. And I tried to get a hold of Joshua Williamson by sending him a tweet to clarify for people who might have a problem with this.
Talk to you.
And it turns out he fucking hates our guts, and he decided he didn't want to get back to us.
Again, it's one thing to hate somebody's guts, but we just want some info there, dude.
I'm trying to help other people. Because I got my ideas, and my ideas aren't always going to be right.
Well, the way that it played out, it seemed like it was in the past, but it was a little confusing. I don't know why he's upset. It's not like every time I talk about Night Terrors, I call him a hacker. I might have called him a hacker in a video this week, but hey, that's me being me. You keep being you, Joshua Williamson. I don't know why I burn all these bridges.
I do.
But I
You're a
keep
dick.
going. No, it's one of those things where I always assume, and this is, a little psychological deal. Did I tell you the Beatles have a new song coming out?
You did.
The idea where I am really, throughout my whole life, I assume that everybody hates me. Everybody hates me. So I'm going to get the first shot in. It's always, and then I end up feeling bad because I don't really hate these. I just want to preemptively make it that I push them away, not them pushing me away. Take that, Joshua Williamson. I don't know the guy. I don't hate him or whatever. I don't love all of his stories, but then he gets easily offended, maybe. But yeah, he didn't talk to you. I told you.
Two peas in a pod.
You actually have, reached out a couple times to him for some things. And didn't he retweet something you asked him at one point?
I don't remember any of this.
Maybe not. It might have been somebody else that we talked to that was like, yeah, that's cool. Tell you, I asked Jeremy Adams stuff. That guy is right on the ball. He'll tell me whatever. I say, you think Eric's a jerk? He says, yes. Right?
Well, him and I were discussing the idea of, multiple, Phantom Zones last week in the multiverse and multiple antimatter universes.
Okay, it makes even more sense. Yeah, it makes more sense. You ask him a question, and he'll talk to you. Even if he doesn't know an answer, he'll discuss it with people. And I do stress
that's the thing. I threw it out there. I think Gabe might have, actually tweeted to, added him during that conversation. He jumped in.
You mean sus Gabe? He did so. Mm-hmm. You end up where... And I'll tell everybody, and I've said this before, where people, oh man, because I'll say, I talked to Jeremy Adams about this, and oh man, it must be cool to be like I'm named. I'm like, no, just tweet out. He'll answer you. He's a really nice guy. He really cares about the characters and the comics and stuff, and it's really refreshing to have that. Yeah, now that Joshua, he's too busy being an architect. Is what that guy's doing.
Foundation of sand.
Architect my ass. And I mean architect my ass, Eric, is what I'm saying.
I don't want to.
Did I tell you the Beatles have a new song coming out?
It's Bulldog, right?
Yes, here we go. This is what we'll be talking about next week. Remember, 2 of these books will be a part of our Patreon-only spotlight. We actually have 5 non-spooky books. So me and Eric will have to decide. We'll either have 3 of those on the Patreon spotlight and 2 in a Thank God It's Friday or vice versa.
Or vice versa.
At least 2 of these will be
like that movie.
On the Patreon spotlight, vice versa. I'd rather we play I don't know, She's the Man.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, vice versa is the one that Judge Reinhold and Fred Savage, right?
Yeah. 18 again. Remember that one with George Burns? That wasn't very good. That wasn't great.
It was better than 17 again.
I guess the guy who was gonna that got a little sus, but still. You end up where that guy who played the young George Burns or the switcheroo, they said he was going to be like this big thing. And I don't think it panned out.
For some reason, all I can think of is Zach Morris, and I know that can't be right.
Yeah, it's weird you say that, and I'm thinking of McDreamy. But I know that's not right either.
That's okay. When I think again, it can't be freaking Zach Morris. It's got to be Ricky Schroeder, and I know that's not right.
No, it's not Ricky Schroeder. Actually, it could have been like a Christian Slater if the movie would have been with Jack Nicholson. Would have been pretty cool back in the day. Him and Christian Slater,
Charlie
right?
Slater.
Yeah.
I don't even know who that guy is. Holy shit, was in that movie? Shit.
Was he? That's why it was so good. Here we go. These are the books next week. We have Batman, Superman, World's Finest, number 18. I believe we might be getting the Old Kid Thunder.
Oh, yeah. We're going to find out about Magog. Definitely.
So we'll have that. We have Hawkgirl, number 2. That seems quick. Seems like we just talked about that bullshit.
I feel like a month ago.
Feels like a lot of bullshit. We also have, Book of the Week for you. Not for me. Book of the WEAK. Right? You know what I'm saying?
I'm surprised you actually spelled that right.
I actually got a little scared at this that I messed up. Tales of the Titans 2. Let's see. I'm going to hit that just to see. That is a Raven issue. That's a Raven issue.
I thought it was featuring Raven, but hopefully it's better than the Starfire because I'm looking for a contemporary origins to the new Teen Titans roster. And what we got was a weird adventure for Starfire where she remembered things about her past that correlated with what she was currently working on.
Well, maybe it'll be good.
It's
Teeny Howard.
Oh.
But everybody can write something good eventually. I mean, even a broken clockist writes 6 times a day.
You know Trigon's her daddy?
I'm going to read you the solicit here, Eric, so everybody will know. She's been called the daughter of Trigon. She's been called that, did you? And Herald of Apocalypse. But Raven has never let these things define who she is. Ready to step into this new era of the Titan, she plans to leave her past behind. But history has a habit of repeating itself. And when Raven comes to the aid of a woman, in over her head with the Church of Blood. You're hitting all the
Church of Infinity?
Yeah, she'll have...
Was it Eternity?
I think it is. She'll have to face a terrible reminder of her mother's tragic past. And even closer to her than you may think. Oh my goodness, the cover looks old school. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe Teeny Howard will, get lightning in a bottle there.
You need to reboot that character completely because all of her stories from the 80s on, it just gets so freaking confusing and wound up in this weird ball of nonsense to try to make it where you come back in the New 52 or even in Rebirth, oh no, she's 16 and in high school still. I'm like, you can't do that because you're saying that she was a part of the new Teen Titans.
Well, and now I'm going to have to admit, Eric, we only have 4 books that are non-spooky. I actually was fooled, and I feel bad because Gabe was fooled, and I made fun of him earlier this week because we do have the Penguin You know, the book that we're waiting for that's going to be Paul Meredith, I'd like to call it, but it's the Tom King. This is actually the Penguin number one, right? 0. Yeah. This is the Penguin 0. But I'm glad that I kind of brought it up, because if you didn't read the backups in the Batman, the Chip Zdarsky stuff that ended up where you had Selina tracking down the kids of Penguin and Paul Meredith, that's where we got it. That is what this is. They're going to collect those and release it. So
we read that and reviewed that. It's fine.
Somebody tell Manship not to buy that one if he's around, Eric. R.I.P. But you end up where that's not the deal. But the other one, the 4th book, because we did mention, right? We have Batman, Superman, Hawkgirl. Okay, Teen Titans. Then the last one's the Vigil number 4. Okay. The Ram V. We Are Champions, or We Are Legends book, which me and you have been cautiously liking at this point. We really like. I love
Vigil has its issues, but fucking City Boy's where it's at. Even though I didn't like the last issue.
Yeah. Look, that's the Vigil is at a teetering point. Me and you were a little like, we got to get to a real story here after the last issue, and we'll see if that happens. But we'll see. Dodge file loading. I'm looking at the solicit, and I see Checkmate mentioned, a lot of Dodge, and you might just get a character study. We'll see. We'll see how it is. But we've been liking. We really like the We Are Legends book at first, but they're kind of they got to rebound a bit. They better come in. Vigil better be the first one, because I don't want to have a vendetta, Eric. But here are the Night Terrors books. Night Terrors Catwoman number 2, another Teenie Howard book. So that's awesome.
Coming in hot next week.
And here's the weird one here. Night Terrors Nightwing number 2, Clunrad writing, right? I can't remember anything that happened in that first issue.
Honestly, you say that to me, I'm like, I usually can like pull something out of my ass. Oh, this is what happened. No, that's a complete blank spot for some reason.
I ended up, because I was renaming some video reviews and things like that, and I wanted to rename. I wanted to come up with a catchy name, like of what happened in it or whatnot. And I'm like, nope, I don't know anything of what happened, and I'm not going to listen to that again. So I ended up keeping it. I actually put Nightwing with a K, Nightwing Terrible. It was the worst.
Where are the subscribers?
Nightwing with a K, Terrible. Right? Where are they, Eric? I'm going to check right now. Did that get me any new subscribers since? I am a check. Eric, get this. Get this, though. Here's the thing. Not that might have done, but since we started recording the second deal, the second section, I actually have got 11 new subscribers. Maybe it is Nightwing with a K. It didn't say Nightwing with a K. It was just Nightwing spelled with a K. Terrible. When I wrote it, I'm like, that is the worst. That is so bad. It's so bad.
Honestly, I'm telling you, I don't know what's worse, though. I kind of want you to spell out the title. Nightwing with a K. Terrible.
I'll tell you, at first I had the K in parentheses. I'm like, why am I doing that? I don't know. Here's some
titles are hard.
Now so I just want to have like the thumbnails. You need something that's going to grab people. So the Batman Incorporated, I put Batman Inc. No More.
I did. I saw that. It worked for me.
Raven Red. Okay. Spirit World. What a mess.
I'm telling you. What a mess. You say what a mess on there. Why didn't you use one of our fucking 10 million like ghost puns?
Yeah, I could have done that, Eric. But I'm more of the ghost. That's more for what's her name,
Marilyn Moonlight.
And again, if anybody wants to hear us go on about Marilyn Moonlight, that's on the Patreon. So then, Night Terrors number 3. Eric, get this. What a nightmare! See, it all works. It all works. How about this? In the last week's Adventures of John Kent Stewart. What an injustice! Everything's what a something. What an injustice! But I thought that was
what a pig.
Good. What an injustice! Then the Night Terrors Batman. It doesn't matter. Oh, not great.
You're doing it.
Great. How about for the Night Terrors number 2, Yawn of DC?
Honestly, I love that. We talked about
that one. Here, I'm looking at Nightwing Terrors. Oh, actually, I ended up saying, oh, no, it is. It's Nightwing Terrible. Nightwing Terrible. And then, like the one for the last Batman and Superman World's Finest. I had no idea what to put, and I put on the thumbnail, flipping the switch.
Oh, God.
And the title just says, Never Trust Robots.
We get done with this stuff, and like kind of we go our separate ways for a few days, kind of thing, refuel, regas up so we can get back together and give it all we got the next time. If you got some questions, maybe bounce some shit off me.
I don't know why I thought some of these were, when you read them out loud, it's like Steve Orlando dialogue. It's all bullshit. Actually, I was given the suggestion today that a lot of people, and this is crazy, go to the Chat GPT and say, hey, give me a title for this, and this, and then it gives it to them. I
Seems
tried
like way
that.
too much work.
They were worse than mine. I'm looking at it. I'm like, what the
you didn't pay
hell?
for the subscription. This is the free stuff.
I think it's me describing what I'm supposed to be getting is really lame, and it doesn't really know what's happening. Because I'll say, like, give me a title for a video review of the Night Terrors Nightwing book, and it'll come back with Night Terrors Nightwing. I'm like, thanks a lot.
You did it.
ChatGPT. I
about
can
to
come
take
up with
over.
that shit. You mean you didn't want Night Terrors with a K terrible? That's not what you came up with? How could you not come up with that? That's a solid goal. But yeah. And again, if people want to add to the subscriber base, go over to, and you'll love all the nonsense that goes on with these titles. And I'm changing shit all the time, but it is the Weird Science Comics. Again, that'll be in the show notes as well. But back to the deal. Night Terror's punchline. We were disappointed in that first issue. We thought that it could do a lot more of a deep dive. And really, if you remember, we wanted to have Punchline get a pretty good set, character work because she desperately needs it. Instead, she was like evaluating Batgirl.
Well, not even evaluating Batgirl because she takes over the clock tower and then zombie cyborg Batgirl haunts her.
You know what the worst part is? Is right when you started saying that, I almost said, wait a minute, I remember what happened in Nightwing. Zombie robot. Oh, that was Punchline.
Oh, no, the thing is, no, you
was
say
it that too?
You had Barbara become a cyborg in that as well.
That is true. I remember, and actually,
we talked about it.
The cliffhanger had the greatest. The Clunrads had Nightwing yell, I know this isn't a dream, but I'm going to do things that, like, it made no sense. So, yeah, you did have that. At least we remembered that by the end. Night Terror's Superman, number 2. We did have the ending, and I want to see more of if we get more of the Aquaman family, because that was totally cool. I didn't love the way it was
reason,
written.
I don't know, it was terrible, but hopefully we get to freaking, like, the Atlanteans showing us why they don't, fall for the Nightmare Wave.
And the weird play of it is the Superman book, but it seems like
that's a wave?
Maybe. That's what it is. Hang loose, dude.
Mary used her freaking, aquakinesis to take back the wave?
Oh, God. But all of it, I don't know. But you didn't it feel like in the Superman book that the Superman nightmare stuff, like, that was finished? Like, it felt complete, kind of. And then you end up with Aquaman. Because remember, they went and like, hey, look at these landlubbers. Watch up on shore.
It better be 80% Aquaman in the real world, 20% Superman dream.
And the weird play is, now that I think of it too, he's like, look at these. They were on land. Yeah. And he's still throwing shade at them.
He's an asshole for some reason.
He is. And then just the idea that Mara's like, stop talking like a pirate. What was that? But we'll see. Night Terror's Wonder Woman, number 2. Can't really remember much what happened in that one either. I was just thinking, is that where we got the Nubia backup, I believe, right?
We did get a Nubia backup in that. That meant nothing.
What was in the front up? Wasn't it just like, I don't know. I don't remember.
For some reason, I think we went around and talked to Checkmate members. But I don't know.
Yeah. I'm at a loss.
This is a weird week. Just the idea of what we talked about and for Night Terrors of this week with all these books previously, like, that must have been like a weird week for us because I can remember everything else that we talked about, like, where we came from, doing this, that, and the other. This week is for some reason a blank spot.
And why is it that we remember more about the backup than the front up? And it is Josie Campbell doing the front and Stephanie Williams who usually does
what's a weird
the
part
Nubia
is,
stuff.
I could tell you everything that happened in that Nubia backup because we had the freaking
it was the Well of Souls and
the
going
Well of
in,
Souls
remember?
and being corrupted, and there's freaking Gaia herself that feeds on people down there and became a monster.
Why do we remember that? Not the front up. I don't remember. And it went from the idea that Wonder Woman was in that panic room, Zatanna had saved her, but she still was Detective Chimp.
Oh, fuck, yeah. Detective Chimp was with her, yeah.
Yeah, like throwing
and so was Constantine.
Yeah.
They were going through, now I remember exactly what happened.
You, Eric.
We had the whole idea where for some reason Wonder Woman was like, meets up with a Medusa monster that's her, that she gets bitten by a gigantic snake. Freaking Detective Chimp had nothing to do except for, there better not be an organ grinder over there.
Why is it in our deal? During I think it wasn't the Spotlight or even the TGI. It was the TGIF. No, it was the Spotlight that we're bringing up Phobo, the kind of new, but we can't remember a month ago what happened. And this really shows you it's the tail of the tape. These things stink, Eric. They stink. I can't remember. I don't want to, but yeah, I remember that snake deal. It didn't make much sense, right?
It just was going in a weird way for the ideas like, all right, we're going to focus Wonder Woman's dreams on the idea where you think you know what Greek gods are, but we have some terrible, terrible aspects that they don't normally talk about that we'll talk about here for no apparent reason.
Yeah, it felt like it was like really real. Like all of a sudden Josie Campbell's like, I am now going to cancel Greek mythology. that we were like, what the fuck is this? It felt like Megan Fitzmartin when she was yelling
everybody
about
with my knowledge of this. It's not going to lead into the book at all.
It was a weird aside, right? That was weird. She has this block, so the hell with it, Eric. So does Stephanie Williams.
Josie Campbell has this block?
Didn't. Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame. I like
doesn't. Juan Ferrer likes us. So yeah, all right. Way to go.
Oh,
Juan.
yeah, I remember now, because Juan killed that fucking book, like that 3D-looking punch that Wonder Woman does in that one page.
Oh, yeah. And he did the panel layouts like he did. He was pretty good. He's one of our guys, Eric. He's one of the few that like us still. But there you go. People don't like honesty. And honestly, we're pretty much pains in the asses. So there you go. But with all that, like we said, 2 of these books will be on the Patreon Spotlight. If you want to listen to that, and we have a lot of fun doing that. We end up doing a little extended deal. And really what happens, and like you said, we go and we recharge our batteries, and that's the first time that we really end up talking to each other. Oh, yeah. So it's like we're all excited. It's like, going back to camp for the summer, and you're like, there's my camp buddy. My camp buddy. Twice I've made you my camp buddy. Hey, her name's Eric. But you end up where we have a lot of fun with that. And then we'll also, again, I like having the TGIF. I don't love recording, all those days in a row, but I really do like doing the TGIF, though. It makes
every now and again
a little less now. Yeah. Yeah, once the Night Terrors is over, there's probably going to skedaddle a bit, but we'll see. We'll see how it is. But
look, the thing is, we say that. We still have a bunch of Dawn of DC books, and they're coming out with new books all the time, so there's going to be a shit ton of books still that we're probably going to have to record.
That is true.
Whether it goes on TGIF or not, Friday's going to still be taken up.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I do like that. I like having that. And I like the way that the badasses have actually made every week now. We've had all the spooky Night Terrors books on.
Oh, yeah, they've been choosing everything. It's great.
Not that they're great, but I like having them as a cohesive whole, so everybody. Because I have people who have already told us, hey, I haven't really been buying or reading these, so I'm using you guys to see how they are. And I'm like, well, spoiler, they suck. And they're like, we have fun. I said to you, and we were talking about this, I think it was on the Spotlight as well, where I ended up tweeting out something, and people were kind of giving us some props, a little bit of props. It doesn't happen a lot. But the props were, man, I don't ever agree with you guys, but at least I have fun. I'm like, doesn't anybody agree? And then we were talking about that idea of me and you not really being on the same page in a lot of things. So who aren't they agreeing with, or just a whole? I don't know. But that's it. So thanks, everybody.
I need to know where they stand with Hawkgirl, because you and I were really opposite on that.
Well, right now, everybody let us know where everybody stands, because I thought it sucked and Eric gave it the book of the week. So I think that maybe
still a 7.
I think 7. I'm like 8 points lower than that. That
Look,
book, it wasn't a Hawkgirl book.
Just read some more Kendra Saunders and you like it more.
Yeah, I really would actually like to get more Kendra Saunders in that book, and not Galaxy. There. You don't need the Galaxy, huh?
I do.
Galaxy. Well, you don't know much about Galaxy, but maybe you should read the Galaxy book.
Maybe I should.
So maybe we'll all, because I'm saying there is nobody agreeing with you, but maybe we'll all have to eat crow. You're there, and you'll be the winner, Eric. So I still think you might owe me well, we said, this is what sucks.
I don't even remember what that bet was.
That Ravager, that Ravager book is so fucking annoying, because I know that I won the pizza, but I can't say I did because it was an ambiguous ending.
We have to wait longer. We have to wait longer to find out.
An ambiguous pizza.
Yeah.
We ordered a chicken, like a buffalo chicken pizza from Domino's, two of them the other day. And they ended up...
Not from Domino's, but...
Well, they delivered it, and it didn't have any buffalo sauce on it or chicken.
So you just got a pizza, is what you tell me, and paid extra for it.
So what ended up happening is Rafe hasn't learned things in life. He calls them and just rips into them. I mean, he is...
His mother's son.
And then Tanya had to go pick it up. Tanya, who was going to eat any that, she wasn't touching it, because she said, there's no way they didn't spit. I heard what they were yelling. I'm like, you got to learn. You can't do that. You do that after they make it. You pick it up. But when Tanya went...
Well, just don't do it.
Tanya went and hey, I'll return these pizzas that you made wrong. And, oh, no, keep them. You know how that plays out. But then Tanya gets the new ones. And as she was walking away, she says that the guy who gave her the pizzas walked away and said, asshole. And Tanya flipped out. And it's a good thing that they didn't press try. She ended up one of the pizzas, because there was 2 of the ones that were... She actually threw one of the pizzas at the guy. Hit him in the back of the head.
The hell is wrong with everybody?
Me and you on the pop culture, we all the time there are people. Oh my God, that guy got arrested for throwing fried chicken at somebody.
It comes from Florida, apparently.
Maybe she was pissed because but it was Rafe's fault. So the guy shouldn't have said it. He's working. Made me giggle. I wasn't there, so what the hell? And
I hope it was Dirty Fergie.
I did eat a couple of pizzas.
Oh, yeah, the thing is, I would have eaten it anyway, because I don't give a shit.
Good. It was very good, too, when they made it the right way. But that is that. Thanks, everybody. We thought that this was going to be really quick, this section, but then we got involved in nonsense. But that happened. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But, hey, thanks, everybody, for listening. Check out all of the links in the show notes, all that stuff. But, Eric, what do we say at the end of the show?
Everybody have a great week. Keep it spooky, and we'll see you in 7.
See you in 7.